Oh, it's recording. See who zooms in. Hi. Hey, Dane, on the other side. Hi, Dane and Nicole. We're going to start promptly at 6:30. Hi, Christoph. So we're going to start promptly at 6. We have to get one more commissioner to zoom in. And so if anyone is on the other side, the police will not be speaking tonight because of the summit. So they are busy with the NATO summit and their duties over there. So the police will not be attending tonight. But we have DDOT, so even better. Hi, everyone that just joined on the other side. We'll be starting the meeting at 6:30. We have to just get another commissioner on. All right, for a quorum. Thank you for joining. Hi, Tony.
Good evening, everyone.
Commissioner McCarty, I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Thank you, Commissioner Nigro.
No problem. Okay, everyone on the other side, we have a quorum. We'll start promptly at 6:30. Just be aware that this meeting is being recorded. If you do choose to speak to us or any of our guests, and there is vulgarity or something awful, you will be removed from the meeting. Same thing with the chat too, because we do have the chat. If something is all nasty in the chat, you will be any offensive, that type of thing, you will be removed from the meeting. Okay, dokie. And if you don't want your voice recorded or your image recorded when you come and talk to us, I suggest you not be a part of this meeting. Okay. Oh, Jenny said hi. Hi, Jenny.
See the Q&A?
Is there something in there already?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes. If you want to speak, you're going to raise your little virtual hand. If you want to speak to, yeah. And then, no, then your mic, it's already turned on. I've also been praying that I've been on mute. Yeah, we can't hear you. If you're on with this webinar, we can't hear what's on the other side until we move you over or we unmute you. Nicole. Okay, I'll be right back. Hi, Commissioner Barry.
Hi.
How's it going? Okay, everyone,
Everyone.
we're zooming in here. We are going to start promptly at 6:30. So those of you on the other side who just joined us, we are recording this meeting. So just if you do talk to us, if you use vulgarities or obscenities, you will be removed from the meeting. If something is vulgar in the chat, you will be removed from the meeting. So, okay, we just got to chat. Okay, okay, Mr. Kelly, we're good with that. Okay, so here's some big. We're gonna start. Oh, it's time to start. 6:30. All right, everyone. Let us begin. So welcome everyone. I'm Rochelle Nigro. I'm chair of ANC 2G. Welcome to our July meeting. Just note, we will not be meeting next month. Okay, so no meeting next month. Let me share my screen here and we can, let's do roll call. I'm sorry. Let's do roll call. So Ms. Watkins, Commissioner Watkins. Ms. Watkins,
Yes.
we went ahead and do roll call, please.
Oh, yes. Commissioner Nigra.
I'm here.
Commissioner Barry. Commissioner Brown. Commissioner McCarty.
Present.
Okay, everybody's here with the exception of Commissioner
Contra.
Padro. We
Yep.
do have a quorum.
Yep, we have a quorum. So it's now 6:31. We'll note when Commissioner Padro joins us. Okay, thank
Yes.
you, Commissioner Watkins. And let me share my screen here. We can, wait a minute, hold on.
Commissioner Padro has joined us.
Oh, he has, okay, great. Super. Okay, let me share my screen. There we go. Boop. Okay, so here is our agenda. What has been removed is for anyone who's here for 899 O Street, the Cambria Suites, the zoning presentation, that has been removed. And also 1613 Fifth Street, that has been removed. And also for the police will not be attending tonight due to their duties at the NATO summit. So there will be no commentary or questions with MPD. Okay, commissioners, take a look at the agenda here. Any concerns, additions, questions? No. Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I move to approve.
Good to me.
Okay, who
Second.
makes in the second? Okay, Tony seconds. Alex made the motion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Okay, great. Ms. Barry, Commissioner Barry? Aye. Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't see you here. Okay, motion passed. Thank you. 600. All right. So we do not have the police here tonight, so we're going to move on to announcements. So we do have a new person from the mayor's office, Ty, but I don't know if she's here or not. So Ty, if you are here, oh, I don't know who that is. Oh, you're there. Okay, you're there. Okay, one second. Could you raise your hand, Ty? Okay, let me move you over here. One second. Go ahead, Ty. Okay. Ty.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. My
Hi.
name is Tade Abilla. I do go by Ty. As mentioned, I'm new to the mayor's office. I'm the new Ward 2 manager for the mayor's office of community relations and services. You previously likely worked closely with Grace and Chris. They have moved on to other initiatives and responsibilities within DC government. I'm happy to pick up where they left off and hope to advance, what they already were doing for you all. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to formally introduce myself. I don't have any updates or reports today as I'm still getting acclimated, but I do plan for the next committee meeting to come with a full agenda, PowerPoint presentation, just to provide any updates, initiatives that are going on within the mayor's office. At some point, if I'm able to, I would love the opportunity to provide my contact information so that you all can readily reach out to me at any time, good or bad. So once again, thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to working alongside each and every one of you.
So you can go ahead and we have the chat open, Ty. You can go ahead and put your information there. But if you don't mind explaining to not only the commissioners, but to the audience, okay, you're the manager and then there's going to be a liaison. So how is that going to work?
That is correct. So each ward will have two co-partners, essentially a manager and a liaison. At the moment, I am riding solo. It is a plan in hopes to have a partner, hopefully by the end of October, at the latest, early September, so that we can kind of tag team and kind of divide and conquer, just as Grace and Chris were doing previously. Just to give a little bit of background information, I'm coming from Fairfax County government, where I was the adult and senior programming director. And then also some years ago, I was at Capital One Arena with the sports and entertainment for 6 years. So I do have a very diverse background when it comes to sports and entertainment and community outreach and administrative marketing work too as well.
Oh, fabulous. That's great background. Okay, commissioners, any comments or questions for Ty while we have her? Anyone?
I just put this in the chat, but I did want to just say that I've already met with Ty to do a walkthrough for 2G04. Ty was very great and prepared and just super attentive. So I'm very excited to continue working with Ty. And I know as you get caught up and up to speed fully, you're going to be another great liaison for us in the mayor's office.
Thank you very much. I appreciate those kind words.
Okay, welcome. And does anyone on the other side have a question for the mayor's office? Raise your virtual hand or press *9. She is, how long you've been? A week, 2 weeks?
Just a few weeks. Next week will be a month.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any questions for the mayors? And she will be back next month with a full-blown presentation, so no worries this month. Okay, oh, no, oh, that's Brian, okay. All right, I think you're good, Ty.
Thank you again. I greatly appreciate the time.
All right, we thank you for your time and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Great, all right, and let's bring over Brian from Councilmember Pinto's office here. Wait. Wait a minute, hold on. It's me doing this, you guys. I'm not the speedy, so hold on a second. There it is. Oh, there. Okay, Brian.
Hey, everybody. Hey, good to see you.
Hi.
I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Okay. There you go. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure we're all looking forward to the NATO summit being over and things hopefully quieting down for a while tomorrow. I want to thank you, commissioners, for your constant information sharing, for your outreach to your constituents, and for your support for the businesses impacted by the chaos. I know it is not easy and not a fun time for the neighborhood, but hopefully the event wasn't too painful, but I'm sure we can debrief after. Councilmember Pinto and I were in 2G01 a week ago to tour the new LGBTQ center that's going to be opening on Wiltberger Street, hopefully in the fall. So we had a nice tour with the organizers there. 2 weeks ago, the council took their third and final vote on the FY25 budget. Councilmember Pinto prioritized improving public safety, revitalizing downtown, supporting our small and local businesses, expanding education opportunities and youth opportunities, and supporting housing. I know we've been talking about the budget for a long time now, so I just encourage you to read our latest newsletter that I'll post in the chat if you're interested, and you can read about the final budget decisions. Councilmember Pinto remains disappointed by the new tax increases that were included in the final budget. The property tax increases that we discussed last month remained, though she was able to thwart attempts by other council members to increase property taxes even further and for more households. One of the other tax increases that we didn't discuss last time has to do with municipal bonds. Currently, DC residents who hold DC or other state municipal bonds can exclude interest gained from those bonds from their gross income on their DC tax return. The budget as approved removes this exclusion for bonds from other states starting on January 1st, 2025. Councilmember Pinto is concerned that this unfairly impacts seniors and residents who are nearing retirement who have fixed incomes and depend on these funds. So she is exploring all legislative options to mitigate these impacts before they go into effect in January. With the budget complete, the council held the legislative meeting this past Tuesday, where they voted on nominations to various boards and a new truancy pilot that will send truant teens to social services instead of to court. I'm going to post a Washington Post, I already posted a Washington Post article in the chat, so you can read more about that truancy pilot. I don't think it will be, the pilot will take place in Ward 2 because it's 5 schools to start this next school year, and it'll be schools that have truancy rates of 50% or higher or something around that. So thankfully that's not Ward 2, but hopefully the pilot is effective because we're realizing that sending kids to court is not working. So this is a new approach. It's part of the legislation that the mayor had proposed, but the council is still considering the rest of the truancy legislation that council members and the mayor have proposed that we've talked about before. The council held a hearing today on mopeds and moped regulations, which I know has been a hot topic lately. Written testimony is being accepted until July 25th. So again, there's a link in the chat about how to post testimony about mopeds. And again, yeah, I think you guys are aware of the issues with the mopeds. As a reminder, the council is in recess from July 15th, so Monday, to September 15th. It means that there are no hearings or roundtables, no new legislation can be introduced, but the council is still working. It's more of a legislative pause, so you can keep reaching out to us with any needs. I know, for example, you're talking about cannabis later, and that's one thing that the council members are all talking about over the summer. Again, something that they can't change now until September 15th or after, but they also know that there are some changes needed for the cannabis regulations. So again, that will happen in September now. The WMATA Better Bus Network Survey closes on July 15th. So please be sure to check out the proposed changes to your local routes and provide feedback before they finalize anything. Councilmember Pinto will also be on the Politics Hour with Kojo and Tom tomorrow at 12:30 on WAMU 88.5. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. We are still working with DPR to find a date for the community meeting regarding the Kennedy Recreation Center and with DGS for a meeting with Kip and Bundy about Bundy Field. Councilmember Pinto spoke with Director Freeman of DPR and Director Hunter of DGS, and they assured her that they will find dates that work to hold these meetings. I know they're really long overdue, and we've been talking about them for a while now as well. So I think that's all for me, and happy to take questions or feedback or comments.
Hi. So let me just touch base about those two meetings you mentioned. It is insane how long it's taken to get these meetings together. And I just don't get it. You know, everyone's got an Outlook calendar, check that little section and move on. Okay, I just don't understand. So it just needs to be figured out, especially that Bundy Field that we've talked about forever. So, all right, and I do have something for myself here, and this is a high level concern about potentially other constituents. And so I asked for a meeting with Councilmember Pinto right after May 1st, right after we won the appeal hearing. It took her 2 months to respond to me. So my question is, I don't care about myself. What do I care, right? Who cares about me? But my question is, are constituents being ignored for 2 months? And why is it only a 15-minute meeting? This is about the potential jail at 501 New York Avenue. Why did it take 2 months for her to respond to my meeting requests? And why is it only 15 minutes? I mean, it's crazy.
Sure. Well, I'm sorry it took that long. I know we were deep in budget season, and that the schedule was just pretty brutal, including the primary election, as you may be aware. And I know you had some conversations with the council member in person.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, well,
I mean, for 1 minute.
I was like 10 minutes, I think.
No, it was like a minute.
At Company Coffee.
Yeah, it was like a minute. So, but my point is that our constituents being ignored? I don't care about me. Who cares about me? So that's the concern, right?
Yeah,
and then
I would say no. I would say no. And we had an office hours recently at Little Gay Pub that anyone was welcome to come and join. And we do try to be open to people as often as we can. And our office is also open. So people are welcome to come into the office.
So it's just me being ignored.
I think they're just, scheduling is always tough. I know that, but I do.
2 months, 2 months. Come on. So, and then another question you have to ask, and I haven't gotten a response back from her either, is that compromise letter that we feel is not legally binding. And she has yet to respond whether a lawyer has looked at that. She is responsible for that letter. Why have I not received a response about that? And that's been like 7 months.
Yeah, I'm sure you can discuss that in the meeting. You're talking about
we'll find out before. Yes, the compromise letter that no one asked for, that is probably not legally binding at all. Whatever. Okay, so please find that out. All right, commissioners. Questions? Alex has his little hand up. Go ahead, Alex.
Thanks. And I guess in the council members' defense, I've had similar issues during budget season getting Chairman Mendelson to respond to a very, very, very simple inquiry, which I still haven't gotten a response to either. So
Well,
I'll
that's
say that
unacceptable
it's.
either.
I
That's
think they're all.
unacceptable too, Alex.
I think they're all equally unresponsive during the budget.
Welcome to it's unacceptable. 2 months
Yeah,
is
no.
unacceptable.
I agree. I agree.
Go
I'm
ahead,
just saying
Rebecca, continue.
that you're not the only one being ignored in case you were feeling that you were being picked up. So, Brian, a couple of things. One, the situation with NATO really has, reminded all of us that whenever there is a national special security event at the convention center, the businesses in close proximity and even further afield have a really significant financial impact. I've been surveying those businesses, and they're reporting losses in sales anywhere from 40 to 70% Some businesses decided they had to close because there was no way that they were going to be able to, to justify being open the level of business that they were going to be seeing. So, and we have another NSSE coming up in January, which is the inaugural balls. So I'm going to draft a resolution for the commission, which will be sent to the council member, the mayor, Eleanor Holmes Norton, and Angie Gates over at Events DC to ask all of you to put your heads together and come up with a program like the former Washington Convention Center Authority created back when the current convention center was being built, where there was the opportunity for businesses that were negatively impacted financially that could document their losses through having their accountants show what they were making on a normal day and a comparable day, and then the actual sales that they had, if any, during the MSSE, so that these businesses can get some compensation. MSSEs are going to always be occurring. The convention center isn't going anywhere, probably for a generation or two. So we need to find a way to make sure that these businesses are held as harmless as possible when these events come up. And 2 in the course of 6 months is really bad. So that's number one. But number two, I wanted to ask, since you actually have gone inside the LGBTQ center, I've only driven by since construction began. Have they really gotten very much construction done? Because from what I can see through the windows, I don't see a hell of a lot going on.
Yeah,
and when will they be opening if they gave you?
They're paused right now. I think the earliest they're planning to open is November. So basically, they did about 70% of the work, is I think what they said, and then they ran out of funding, and so the council just approved more funding in this budget that kicks in October 1st, and so they're now waiting for that funding. But yeah, it's a shame because it's again like 70% of the way done, but they just need to put up like drywall and thing like the final things. Basically, they've got all the electrical and the plumbing and all of that is done, but yeah.
All right,
and I'm sure we could probably get you a tour too if you're interested in going over and seeing it.
I'm sure that I can do that myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Barry.
Hi, Brian. How are you? So I had a question about the moped legislation and testimony. Do constituents send letters to Councilmember Pinto or DC Council directly? Because I've received some letters sent to me in the past month about that, and someone actually went around the neighborhood and took pictures. So who do they send that to? They direct that to Councilmember Pinto, or
it's to the Committee on Transportation. It should be the Committee on Transportation and the Environment. And on that link that I posted above in the chat, it should say how to submit it. Let me just scroll down to that part. It says, yeah, let's see here. You would like to provide testimony or submit written testimony, please use the council. There's a link.
Okay.
and then you probably have to click on that link. Yeah, and then there's a button that says submit testimony. And then when you click on that, it's like a form that you fill out. So it's like first name, last name, and then like the box that you can copy and paste your testimony into.
Okay, the other thing is, has NPD done anything to crack down on this?
They have something called Operation Ride Right, that's been going on now, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, for like the arrests that they've been making, but they have made a number of arrests. And the main thing that they're doing is they're confiscating the mopeds. So they're physically, I've seen them actually out myself, where they have like a flatbed trailer sort of situation where they have a couple of police cars and they go around a lot of to like the business areas, and they basically just say to people like, do you have registration? Do you have a license for this? And folks will say no, and then they confiscate it. So they are definitely cracking down.
Okay, and the other thing is, so DC, although they have wards and stuff like that, not everyone goes to school within the ward that they live in due to the school lottery. Do you know the schools that are in the truancy pilot program?
I don't think they've selected the 5 yet. They just passed it on Tuesday.
Okay.
And so yeah, like I said, I think it'll be like 5 of the schools with the most truant students. So I would assume just not in Ward 2.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other Commissioner Watkins or Commissioner Brown? Okay, we do have something from the chat though, Brian, of course, concerning the potential jail. So what is the councilwoman's position in relation to the potential central cell block?
Sure. Councilmember Pinto thinks the current conditions at the central cell block are unacceptable. She has made clear to the executive that any space that is used in a swing capacity, including at 501 New York Avenue, would need to be temporary, and could only be used as a temporary site while the Daily building is undergoing the renovations that it needs. The executive, as you mentioned in that compromise letter, agreed to meet certain conditions the community had asked for, including soundproofing at the facility and a commitment that no releases of detained residents be made from the temporary facility. She knows that it's important that the project moves really swiftly at the Daily building so that this is just a super temporary location. And that is why she's been helping to fully fund the Daily building renovations to make sure that that can happen as expeditiously as possible.
So, but in other words, she's not against it being at 501 New York Avenue.
I would, yeah, I don't know. I think just stick to what I said. I don't want to.
Okay, so that answer is clear. And yeah, so I'd say that she is not against it being at 501, but I can put it out there, right? Okay, all right, so now we're gonna open it up to no other commissioners, right? Ms. Watkins, nothing? Okay, all right, so it's gonna open to the, no?
I'm good.
All right, so to the other side, if you are on the phone, press *9. If you are virtual with camera, raise your little virtual hand. This is for Brian from Councilmember Pinto's office, if you'd like to make a comment. Okay, well, they're just commenting on the side. They go, we're not compromised. We don't want a jail, temporary or permanent. And John Taylor says, is Pinto opposed to use, okay, well, yeah, Pinto opposed to using the cell block. Deborah goes, Councilmember Pinto hasn't listened to us on this ever. Ms. Phillips goes, agreed, no jail in 2G. Thought Pinto's whole platform is decreasing crime and improving safety. This makes residential area much less safe. And then Alejandro Lopez goes, I second that. On top of everything, the disruption on traffic would make everything more difficult. And then Jed goes, big fan of Pinto though. She's been great, but the jail is still unresolved. Okay, anything else? Any other one? Say it in person, or should I just keep reading these?
There are the messages there
I
that
think
has nothing to do with the jail. I don't know if you noticed them.
let's see, so we got all for Pinto here.
From Pam, from Brad for the city.
Okay, we're gonna do that. We will do that. This is for for
Okay.
Councilmember Pinto
All
though.
right.
Okay, someone says no jail, no jail. Nicole goes, it'll impact our community significantly and badly. No, Jenny T goes, no.
I'm
So there
happy
you
to
go.
keep reading them. Yeah, I'll keep reading.
I'll keep reading. So that is her constituents. So the high level question is, and I've said this very publicly before, and I don't get it. is she is a paid elected official, and she is not representing her constituents. We, the commission, myself especially, are representing, and we don't get paid. Me, thousands of constituents, and she is not representing our views.
I think I don't agree with you. I think just because you don't agree on an issue doesn't mean you're not representing somebody. So
But we're opposed. No one's for this, Brian. No one. Zippo. Zero. So that's what, if no one is for this, why is she not saying no to this? No one's for this. That's just about representation. Okay.
it's Ward 2 is large place and DC is large place. So
Okay. All right. Okay, everyone. So there goes Brian. Thank you, sir, for zooming in. It's much appreciated your time.
thank you.
Okay. See you later. Okay. And let's see. We have, did I miss anyone? I don't think I missed anyone. Okay. Is the convention center on? Let's see. Solana, if you're here. Oh, there you are. Bink. You got it, Solana? You zooming in? I'm promoting you. Oh, there you go.
Awesome.
Hi.
Hi. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Solana Vandernet. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Engagement for the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. I'm happy to serve as a connection point between you and Events DC. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'll put my contact information in the chat. As a reminder, to learn more about Events DC, our programs, initiatives, and other opportunities, visit eventsdc.com. If you haven't already done so, please sign up for our electronic mailing list and follow us on our social media platforms. Regarding the July event calendar, for the remainder of this month, we have 10 upcoming events at the Convention Center, 3 single day and 7 multi-days. I would like to highlight the following events. Friday, July 19th through Monday, July 22nd, the 37th U.S. Junior National Championships is being held at the Convention Center with an estimated attendance of 12,000. And from Friday, July 26th through Saturday, July 27th, we will host the EECFNA Jubilee with an estimated attendance of 15,000. Regarding our community grants program, applications are now open. Beginning next week, virtual grant informational sessions will be held every Tuesday and Thursday in July at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. Registration is required. The application deadline is August 1st. To learn more and to register for the information sessions, please visit eventsdc.com, and I'll include the specific community grants program link in the chat. Finally, I'm excited to announce that our summer movie series is back at the Carnegie Library lawn on Wednesday, August 14th. This free event will feature Wish, favorite movie snacks and light fare, fun activities, a DJ, and community resources. Attendees are encouraged to bring a lawn blanket or chair. All food and giveaways are on a first-come, first basis, and I'll include the registration link in the group chat for this too. Regarding the 75th NATO Summit, which concludes today, I would like to thank the ANC 2G commissioners and the Convention Center area community for your patience and understanding during the 75th anniversary North Atlantic Treaty Organization Summit, a national special security event hosted at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Leading up to the event, Events DC worked tirelessly with the commissioners and United States Secret Service on preparations and community outreach to ensure that our neighbors were well informed and prepared for the potential impacts of the event. Thank you again for your cooperation. We appreciate your willingness to accommodate the safety requirements, alternative traffic routes, and access locations required to host this historic summit. Thank you for letting me join this call. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, well, I have to say on behalf of my constituents who are literally right across the street from the convention center, I think I mean, I'll probably get some feedback from them, but I think overall went pretty well. And I have to say that, I hope they tell me if it didn't. But the responsiveness of the Secret Service was way, way better this time. It was like night and day from the last event, as we know. So I want to thank you, Events DC. And I'll be sending a note to the Secret Service members on behalf of 2G06. But there you go. Thank you. All right, commissioners, anything for Solana? Alex?
Hey, Solana. So while communications were better with the Secret Service, the issues that businesses experience in terms of deliveries, in terms of customers being able to get to them, et cetera, were just as bad as they ever are. I'll give as one example, or two quick examples. Pearl's Bagels reported that their business was down 42% because of the security measures. And Petit Cerise was down 60 to 70, 60 to 70%. Other businesses like Kinship and Metier just chose to close because it would just be impossible for them to operate. When customers were trying to get through, when staff was trying to get through, especially at the 6th and L, security point, everybody was encountering extreme difficulty. So I hope that you heard my comments earlier about the resolution that I'm going to be proposing for ANC consideration coming up in September. And I hope that someone at NFNCC can dig up the files because I certainly have copies of all the documentation related to the Washington Convention Center Authority's business impact program, which provided hundreds of thousands of dollars compensation to businesses for their loss of business during the construction of the convention center, which can be a model for the federal government, the local government, and events DC to be able to come up with programs so that we never have another situation like we have currently where businesses are being so terribly impacted. Now, some businesses may end up closing as a result of the fact that they've lost a week's business. From Saturday when the barricades first went up and the no parking signs went into effect until Saturday when everything is supposed to be removed, that's a whole week. That's an incredible amount of time for business to be able to have to survive. And for it to be happening twice in the course of 6 months, particularly egregious. So just wanted to make sure that, that I brought that to your attention.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioner? Commissioner Berry, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Watkins? Anything? No? Okay. So just comments from the other side here. Francesca Micah said we had 3 reps from Korea vans idling on the 1100 block of Fifth Street. Oh, that's interesting to know. Okay. And then Paul Thorpe said, what if any provisions were made for parking in the community? I don't think you can address that, can you?
I
No,
cannot.
not really. Yeah, so they didn't do any ticketing supposedly. And it was just, it is what it is, I think. Is that correct, Paul? Or maybe Paul can jump on. And then let me just okay, so anyone from the other side want to comment? You can raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're on the phone. Paul, I hear you. I don't quite understand I'm really anxious to hear what provisions were made for the, I don't think that she can answer that. Anyone who can talk to her? Us? No? Okay. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Paul said, I understand. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Paul. All right. Thank you, Solana. All right.
Thank you.
So, okay. Oh, any other announcements from the commissioners at all? And then we're going to get to the Bread for the City person. Commissioners? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. All right. So the person from Bread for the City, if you want to raise your little virtual hand. Whoever that person was. Person from Bread for the City wanted to talk to us about that. Oh, here you go. James. James. Hi, James. James, you have to unmute yourself. James, are you from Bread for the City? You have to unmute yourself, okay? You want to talk to us.
How about that? Am I on now?
Okay, are you from Bread for the City, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this, so unfortunately, the police could not attend because of what's going on at the summit, but you wanted to bring forward some concerns for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's a bunch of us senior citizens. We've been meeting right there on the corner. It's a little lot there. And unfortunately, people were saying that we rob, steal, and do this and do that. We're senior citizens, you know. Been in the neighborhood. I think our oldest senior citizen is like 97. His name is Mr. George. We're there to communicate. We've been living in the area. Well, I'm 60. I've been living in the area like 60 years. And we can't help what goes on after we leave. You know, and I just wanted to come and bring it to your attention because I don't, you know, it's like we be harassed. People say things that's not true about us, and I just felt that it need to be heard. You know, like I said, we've been in that spot literally since Broadway movie theater was there. You know, and that's been in the early 60s. And this is where we communicate at. You know, unfortunately, they took we lived in the area, taxes was raised, we had to move. So a lot of us, you know, we come back to this little spot, you know, have coffee, talk. We even help people that was like getting robbed. The mayor let us protect the neighborhood one year during 4th of July. We had orange vests and everything. My point is, you know, we're not drug dealers. You know, we are not thieves. We are not robbers. We just did come there because we have nowhere else to go to communicate. And I've asked.
Understood. Okay, but I think now I see Bread for the City on.
Yes.
You go ahead and unmute yourself. You're not, you're just a resident, James, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and you, ma'am, are from Bread for the City?
Yes, my name is Cam. I use they, them pronouns. So I'm one of the senior managers for organization culture and change. And we have been in community with Mr. James for years now. He's a client and community member, and we're just showing up to show support. To get this issue resolved. Bread for the City is actually like right directly around the corner from this P Street and P Street and 7th, where Mr. James is referring to. A group of seniors meet there to build community. And they have been getting harassed by MPD. And we originally were supposed to sort of address this issue to the MPD tonight, but wanted to think about what were potential solutions, like if there was some communication we can establish, or if we can just figure out what would good next steps be so that Mr. James and other seniors who don't have any other communal space can exist. As far as I know, that the seniors are in front of private property, but they aren't on the property. They're on the sidewalk, and the private property owners aren't using the space as of now. It's like just a vacant lot. And we're just here to be in support of them getting to use the space and not be harassed. And I'll pause because it looks like Sheena, you have a remark.
Okay, so, but it's unfortunate the police were not here tonight, and we certainly have all the correct contacts. But I don't know if you and James are familiar with the office that's, I'm not saying it, Office of Police Complaints. I can't remember their exact title. Have you utilized that yet? If you're talking about harassment for the police, they have a mechanism to assist with those type of concerns.
I'm writing this down.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I have the title right, but that is, and then we certainly we know our local captains and lieutenants, and then we also have Mr. Rob, I can't remember his title, for the North Patrol, right? I know Chief Smith, but I think you want to first start with that Office of Police Complaints too, and then we can put you in touch with our local. I'd be very happy to facilitate it, and also because technically that property is in Commissioner Watkins' area, so we're talking about the future property at 7th and P, right?
Exactly.
We can assist with that, certainly myself and Commissioner Watkins, okay? And Commissioner Barry, you want to say something?
Hi, yes, so I went over and spoke to the gentleman at the table across from the Kennedy Recreation Center one day. And they were very nice because people were telling me, oh, they're selling drugs, they're doing illegal things over there. And Commissioner Watkins walked me over there, introduced me, and it's just a group of older gentlemen just talking and like you said, having community. So I went and I spoke to Ms. Hunter at the Kennedy Recreation Center when it opened for its grand opening. And one of the members from that was over at the table, he came over and he was like, he had spoken to Ms. Hunter. And we're going to try, the idea was that they would have a support group where men could congregate and come together and have some type of community together. That has not taken place yet. However, that was something that she was open to, allowing them to do, because the conversation when they didn't feel comfortable hanging out in the playground because they're older gentlemen and there's children there. But so that's why they're across the street at the table, and that people walk by and they say harassing things and yell at them and make them feel as if they're a menace to the neighborhood, when really they've had barbecues, they've given out, food to people walking by, just looking out for people in the neighborhood. And that's something that, especially in a gentrifying area like this, is not always appreciated. Especially, given stereotypes and things of that nature. So I will reach out again to Ms. Hunter and see if, she hasn't responded to me back about her programming for the center, but she did say that it's something that she would consider for them in the future, so.
Commissioner
Commissioner
Barry,
Barry.
did you also give me contact information? You did say Miss Hunter.
Yeah,
And I can
yes.
reach out to her as well.
Okay.
Because like you said, a lot of those gentlemen are being accused of doing illegal acts that they're not. And I can't say for all of them, but a few of, but I know the seniors there aren't. And I don't know what goes on at night or in the evening. But maybe we could pursue Miss Hunter that they'll have a place where they can congregate and sit around and talk. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you both. All right, Commissioner Padro.
So Commissioner Watkins, I'm going to bring up some of the issues that some of your constituents have copied me on related to the drug activity that's taking place on the block there along Marion Street. So this is a longstanding problem, and I hate to say that some innocent seniors are probably in harm's way because of the drug activity that's taking place there, both in the alley between Bedford City and the residences on Marion Street, as well as in entrances to people's homes on Marion Street. There's a significant level of drug activity. There's a huge amount of sharps, needles in the alley that are discarded there. There's regular defecation and urination taking place in the alley. And again, I'm not saying that seniors are involved in this, but because of where they are congregating, they are in harm's way. So I want to make sure that when we do engage MPD, DPR, that we as quickly as possible make it possible for these gentlemen and ladies to get off of that site into the recreation center where they can be safe and not be exposed to potential harm of what is going on that block right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're gonna, and I see that you put in your email address for follow-up, so I've got that, okay? And then we're just gonna take a couple, because we gotta move on with the agenda, okay? I see a couple people with their hands raised, if you could be quick with your question. So Mr. Davis, I'm gonna unmute you, okay? Hold on, Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis, gotta unmute yourself. Mr. Davis?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yep, if you had, yep, go ahead.
Yes, this is Inspector Davis. That's part of my footprint. So I think another issue right now is someone illegally dumped the trash, a waste management container on that corner. And I've been working on getting that removed. I've contacted waste management 3 times, so I'm citing them, and I'm working on with our team to have that can removed. And I think that's part of one of the other problems because of that trash container right there, and the people are upset because it's just sitting right there. And I mean, I can vouch that the guys keep it clean over there, because I ride through there all the time, and Commissioner Pedro is correct. It's on that Marion side where that alley at. When I come through that alley or come down Marion Street is where those other issues are happening. Illegal issues are happening right there in that alley and right at that part of Marion Street. Is where that illegal action is taking place. And I think part of it, the people have said about the can also. So I'm working on having that removed as soon as possible. And waste management is being cited.
Okay, Mr. Davis, we thank you for your continued help with us. We appreciate all your service, and I'm gonna have, okay, thank you. And now we have Dane Thomas. Dane. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Dane. Dane. Dane, can you unmute yourself? No? Okay. Dane. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, maybe not. Okay. So Nicole's, one last question here, Nicole, and then we're gonna have to move on. Nicole.
Thank you. I think I just unmuted myself. I wanted to thank Commissioner Padro for his words. I agree with the assessment that the issues are on Marion and they're not being addressed, and then people nearby those issues are being blamed for things. Also, thank you for dealing with that overflowing waste management dumpster that's a huge fire hazard and that I know folks have been calling in about repeatedly getting addressed. And I just have a thought, which is I wonder if the property at that corner that's going to be developed, but where nothing is happening, perhaps they might want to be part of sort of facilitating better kind of ways to hang out there. Maybe they could get some tables or something if folks don't want to hang out at a park next door, which is totally understandable. Perhaps the property owners there could communicate with James and myself and the folks that congregate there about ways to sort of make that place worthy of the folks that have been stewards of the city for so long who hang out there, and actually make that area safer.
Okay.
Just a thought.
All right, great. Thank you for those thoughts. And then one last for Dane, if you're gonna mute yourself, otherwise we're gonna move on. No, okay, all right. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Thank you, everyone, and we'll be in touch to move this issue forward and help the parties that are involved, okay? All right, so next that we have on our agenda, this is exciting for Commissioner Barry and for myself. I'm excited because I talk about this all the time. It's not in my area. So this is about the mid-city development. We call it the 1200 Fifth Street project. This is the large parking lot and the little garden apartments. And this is Commissioner Barry's area, but I invited mid-city. So mid-city, you want to raise your hand? I'm going to move you over. Who's here for mid-city? It was not Mr. Kelly. Let's see here. Mr. Carter. Okay, one second, Mr. Carter. We're moving you over, Mr. Carter. Okay, great.
Hi, can everyone
Hi,
hear
Mr.
me?
Carter. So Commissioner Brown, unmute yourself, Commissioner Barry, because I have to make this is in Commissioner Barry's area, not mine. But go ahead, Commissioner, you want to say something? Because this is a big deal.
Yeah, welcome. I'm looking forward to the updates. Everyone has asked about this project from the beginning, what's going to happen to it, what's going on with it. I've seen trucks come by to keep it clean and maintain it. So hopefully you all will be getting started soon, and it'll be well received in the neighborhood.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna get in trouble because I forgot about the DDOT. So hold on, Mr. Carter. I don't want to get in trouble with DDOT. I apologize.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So, I got sidetracked there for a little bit. So I'm sorry. DDOT, want to raise your hand? Pause, Mr. Carter. Okay, I apologize. There's Christoph. Okay. Sorry. My fault. Okay. All right, Christoph. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I know you were so happy that I moved you up on the agenda. Then I forgot about
I
you.
was. My feelings are not hurt, not at all. We got skipped. It's okay. Can you mind also promoting my colleague Kimberly?
Kim. Yep.
Panelist as well. Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen. And to everyone, my name is Christoph Wassmer. I am the Ward 2 liaison for DC Department of Transportation. And tonight we're gonna be presenting on open streets, 7th Street Northwest. So I'm just gonna share my screen and I'll let Kim take it away. So
thanks,
let's do that.
Christoph. Hi, commissioners. Feel free to go to the next slide there, Christoph, once it starts sharing. Okay. If you go to the next one. Perfect. And okay, so hi everyone, my name is Kim Vaca. I am DDOT's Public Space Activation Coordinator, and I manage our Open Streets program. I have a very brief presentation. I know you're very excited to get to the next agenda item, so I'll try and go through this quickly, but I wanted to walk you through the upcoming Open Streets event, what Open Streets is, what you can look forward to, and some fun things that we're anticipating this year. So feel free to jump ahead. Next slide. We are working with Netium Consultants, who is our contracted event planner, to help us facilitate Open Streets, as the Department of Transportation doesn't typically do events. So they've been really great. If you can go to the next slide. But Open Streets is not new to DC or to 7th Street. But for those who may not be familiar, this is a program that started here in the district in 2019, but goes back to the 1960s in Columbia, which ultimately seeks to reimagine our streets to prioritize people over cars. So we can see the beauty and the magic that occurs when we prioritize people in public space. 1 mile of 7th Street Northwest will be closed to cars and open, hence Open Streets, to people to safely walk, bike, skate, and scoot, learn about transportation safety and all the different ways you can get around the city safely. Participate in a range of fun and family-friendly activities, from live music to free fitness classes to foam beret. And then also very much supporting the local businesses that are on the route, as we do not invite in any food vendors or businesses that aren't located on the route or within the wards adjacent to the route. Go to the next slide. So for the event specifically, it's scheduled for Saturday, October 5th. About 3 months from now, running from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on 7th Street, spanning from Rhode Island Avenue at the northern end to East Street at the southern end. It's about 1 mile in route. This is a free event. People of all ages and abilities are welcome. I do want to share, I just got this news actually today, that there is a minor modification to this, in that south of New York Avenue will be able to will unfortunately have to close early at 2 to accommodate the vehicle traffic needed for the Capital One Arena, as there is a game that evening. But everything north of New York Avenue will remain open until the end of the event at 3. You can go to the next slide. As mentioned, there's no cost to attend. We are rapidly moving forward to get those vehicle and bus detours available and posted to our website. We usually post them about 1 month in advance with all sorts of maps and tools to use so that everyone can understand how to navigate. But to get to the event, we recommend that you walk or ride or metro in, as the road's going to be closed. And then 7th Street in particular will be closed to cars from 7 a.m., so 2 hours prior to the event, to 5 p.m., which is 2 hours after the event. And then courtesy towing for anyone who's parked on the route will begin at midnight. And we will post emergency no parking signs at least 42 hours in advance so that people have notice of this closure. The event is rain or shine. We've hosted open streets through the remnants of a hurricane before. So come prepared for whatever the weather is. But we will have water stations and bathrooms on the route. And again, all sorts of fun activities from the northern end to the southern end. Go to the next slide. So for the second time ever, we started this last year with our Georgia Avenue event. We are doing a bike giveaway. We will be giving away 51 bicycles to district residents at open streets, including 22 adult bikes and 29 children bikes. These are only available, again, to district residents who can apply by completing our online form on our website, which will be provided at the end of this presentation. And if you are selected through a random raffle that we'll be doing, you must pick up the bike at open streets on Saturday, October 5th, between 9 a.m. and 2:30. So make sure that if you enter the raffle that you're actually going to be in town. And then we will not be saving the bikes for anyone after 2:30. We basically raffle off any bikes that aren't claimed during the event at the end. But we're really excited. So tell all your friends and complete our survey. Go to the next slide. We are also looking for volunteers. We cannot host this event without all of our lovely volunteers that have helped out over the years or that maybe might be interested in participating this year. We have a range of shifts from setup to manning info tents to hosting the bike giveaway to tearing down. So whatever, it's a range of mobility options for those who are interested. Shifts are between 2 to 3 hours. And then for your work, and as a huge thank you, you receive open street swag that no one else gets to get and a free annual membership to our Capital Bike Share. So this is a once a year, hopefully in the future, more than once a year opportunity to get a free membership with Cabby. And online, we'll be posting hopefully by next week the link to sign up. In the meantime, feel free to email me and I'll provide my email at the end. You can go to the next slide, Christoph. There you go. That's it. So all of the information that I shared will be posted, if not already, on our website, openstreets.dc.gov. And you can email us at openstreets@dc.gov for any questions, comments, or thoughts. Thank you.
Hey, this is great. And actually, before I just saw a question flash up from one of my constituents, Jackie. What age can the volunteers be?
18 and older.
18 and older. Okay, there's Jackie's question. So I think this is a great event. It does go through on the other side of my area, but I thought it was very successful last time. So commissioners, any comments for the DDOT team? Anyone? No? Okay, and what day was this again? October 5th?
Saturday, October 5th. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, anyone from the other side? We answered Jackie's question. Raise your virtual hand or press *9. Louis says great initiative. I think it's very positive. No. Okay, I think we're good. I'm sure as they see it and there's more information, there'll probably be questions. So
Awesome.
okay,
Thank you so much for having me.
thank you for the brief presentation. All right, thanks for zooming in. Okay, Mr. Carter, you're back. Thanks, Christoph. Move him back here. Boop. All right, Mr. Carter, sorry about that. You're back. There you go.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Okay,
So
we're
I
looking forward to
do-
your update. You can
I
share your screen. Do you have a
have-
presentation?
Sorry, say that again?
You have a presentation?
Yeah, just a few slides.
Okay. Yep.
Let's see. So this project's located at 1201.
We can't see your slides. Are we supposed to see your slides?
Yeah, cannot see the slides?
No.
Interesting.
There we go.
So this project, 1201 6th Street, was permitted or zoned back in 2020 and has not started construction, which is why you all called me here. So the project is a roughly 360 unit project with 4 and 5 story donuts connected by an amenity space with a pool. In the facing Ridge Street is going to be a courtyard with a waterfall that we believe will be a wonderful location for the public to hang out. And that this project will generally just be a wonderful addition to the neighborhood. So yes, the project has been delayed. We are hoping that we can start construction around the start of summer of next year. Unfortunately, construction costs have gotten really expensive and interest rates have also gone up through the roof. And so we're hoping as the Fed lowers interest rates and construction prices come down, that it will be a better time to start construction. So that has been the primary delay for the project and is what we are at this point having to wait for in order to start construction. I've seen a number of comments that have come up in the chat already. Some people were mentioning the street trees that were removed a few years ago. We plan on replacing the street trees that were removed with a abundance of new trees. Some of those trees that were previously removed were either not in great condition, or if they were already in good condition, we had to work with the city to remove those properly, and we do plan to replace those. Another concern I saw was the amount of parking that we would be obstructing during construction. Our goal is to minimize the impact to the surrounding residents during construction as much as possible. So if there is a time period where we are taking up parking spaces, we hope to not do so for very long. We will move back inside of the sidewalk area so that the residents can park. As I mentioned, the project does have roughly 360 units, a mix of 1 studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms, with approximately 12% of these units going to affordable units. Those specifically making less than 60% of the area median income. We believe that this will be a great project, and we hope to be able to start construction as soon as we can. We are constantly talking with general contractors in the area, as well as lenders, and staying on top of construction costs to make sure that we can get a shovel in the ground as soon as possible. So that is basically all I had. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner Berry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I heard a rumor and just wanted to verify it, and then it won't, so that it is not sold. It's not in the process of being sold.
It is not in the process of being sold, and no,
Okay.
Mid-City still owns it.
Okay, very good. So I have some, let's get Commissioner Berry, and then, I just want you guys to start as soon as possible because this is clearly has gone on for a very long time. So the bullet point is next summer, right?
That is what we're shooting for, yes.
There's my
That's what
bullet
we're
point.
hoping for.
Because
Some of these factors are out of our control.
Okay, because every time I'm on the street, people ask, they go, what about that? Like, that's why you're here. So Commissioner Berry, go ahead.
I'm so glad you brought up parking. So there's a parking lot in the back of the building. Is that parking lot going to be utilized when their 360 units are there, or is that going to be taken up with the building, by the building?
Yeah, we are building, when constructed, there'll be roughly 100 below grade parking spaces.
Oh, so you're going underground?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's good to hear. I really appreciate that. I'm sure the neighborhood appreciates that as well. Also, could you tell me again the amount of affordable housing that'll be in that unit, in that space, in that project?
It's roughly 12% of all of the units. So that is 41 total units.
Okay, and also You mentioned there would be a pool and common area that the community could use. That's like the entire community,
No,
or?
no, so there will be amenities specifically for the residents, so
Right,
the
okay.
pool will be only available to the residents. Sections inside the property, there will be common areas where residents can gather and do work, or there'll be a fitness center, and those are all benefits to the residents. But there will be a grassy area on the backside of the building that will have a water feature that the community can hang out in.
Okay. And I would just like to say, I really appreciate that you've kept the property up during the time. I hope that that continues, because there was a time period, I guess that was during COVID, where, or 2020, the early 2020, 2021, where I was concerned about, some of the things that were happening along the property. But we really appreciate if you continue to maintain, that stretch, because of, a lot of people take that route walking and, with their pets, and also it's just a lot of activity on that street. So if you would continue that, that would be greatly appreciated, even though I know that, cost is an issue with that, but we would appreciate that.
Yeah, we plan to continue to maintain that property.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Watkins?
Yes, so are these units gonna be condos or just apartment units?
They're gonna be for rent. They're not gonna be
They're
condos.
gonna be for rent. And just to confirm, 41 of the units are gonna be for affordable housing.
That is
Can
correct.
you tell me the breakdown, like 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms?
So just trying to do some math here. 2 of them will be studios, 16 of them will be, 24 of them will be 1 bedrooms. 12 of them will be 2 bedrooms, and 3 of them will be 3 bedrooms.
And the affordable dwelling is 60% of the average income for that, for the neighborhood?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions for Mr. Carter? No. Okay. Actually, I do have one statement. So let me just, so we have a poopy problem with the dogs in the neighborhood. And we had a thing that happened this week with the trash can being removed and where people can put the dog poop and all that. So I have an idea, and I don't know if you feel like being community focused prior to construction, but you know how they have those little poopy stations with little bags and stuff? Do you think Mid-City would be community friendly, maybe put some of those up there and maybe maintain on the property? Just saying.
So we probably
Can you think of
wouldn't put anything on the property.
Or like on the bridge, I'm talking the edge, the edge?
Yeah, and so I don't want to make any commitments without talking to other people internally. That's certainly something that we could discuss, Commissioner. If you could just send me an email and we can look into it. We're not opposed, but I just don't know what that would entail, especially from emptying the
And maintaining, just an
yes.
idea. Popped into my head because I see Deborah's comment. Yes, Deborah, I'm looking into the mayor's program too. Okay, so, but this came up again this week when the garbage can disappeared, and it's like my own personal mayhem. So, all right. Okay, so let me go to the other side here. I see Deborah has her hand up. And Deborah, go ahead, and going to promote you here. Deborah. There you go. Go ahead, Deborah.
Okay, here I am. So we have some beautiful legacy trees, very large canopy trees on 5th Street. Please tell me, I want to know how you're going to protect those beautiful street trees during
Yeah, we'll follow DC procedure, and we will work with a local arborist to make sure that any trees that need to remain, any heritage trees, legacy trees of that nature will be properly protected.
Okay, I'm not confident because DDOT does not have a great reputation in this area. How can I be involved in the meeting with DDOT? arborists.
I would specifically reach out to DDOT with these concerns. I don't know what meeting we would be holding, to have those discussions.
We need to have a meeting because these trees are very important to the community and DDOT needs to understand this. DDOT generally goes the way of the developers, which has been the tradition. So I'm not confident in DDOT. And I haven't been confident in developers. I want this development to happen, obviously, but we need to protect those large trees. They mean a lot to our neighborhood. We need them for cleaning the air, for cooling our air. We need those trees. So I care very much about this. Rochelle, can you set up a meeting for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Yep.
There are a lot of people who care about the trees on Fifth Street, particularly.
Yes.
Mr. Carter, I think that's a great question. I just want to jump in. So that would come up in the transportation and public space meeting. I'm sure that area along there, that would be something, if you guys were interested in tearing those trees down, that you would have to bring to that committee. And that committee meets anytime they have a new issue, the second Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that. So I'm Commissioner Barry. I'm just over on the other side in Rochelle's territory, but I'm half a block from this development. So if you could help us out with this.
Yeah, well, we definitely have this issue across the ANC. Like there's other legacy trees down Rhode Island Avenue, and they're doing projects. And there are people that attend the meetings that make sure that those legacy trees are protected. Some of the members of the committee have shown us artwork from back in the 1800s where those trees existed, and they're very adamant about keeping them. So you're not alone in your concern about the trees.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's stay in touch. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Deborah. All right, so I see Jenny, who's on the other side, has a large concern. Jenny, I would prefer that you get, if I can move you over, can you raise your little hand and have me read, because this is impactful to you, and I'd rather have you speak to him directly. Jenny, can you raise your little hand? Are you still on? I guess I have to read the question.
Access to a mic. That's
Huh?
what it says. In the chat, it says I don't have access.
Oh, that's what Jenny said in the chat. Okay, so let me read Jenny's question. So, okay, Jenny lives right by this future development. Okay, how much steel pile driving is planned for the 1200 Fifth Street development? Has an impact analysis been done to determine potential damage to neighboring property foundations as a result of this pile driving? Do homeowners know that their homeowner insurance most likely won't cover damages?
Yeah, so there will be some pile driving because we are building a below grade parking. However, we have made a commitment, and it is in our zoning order that we will do a study. We will work with the local residents before we start construction to document the status of their homes, make sure that there is no damage, and then we will do the study again afterwards. And if there is any damage, Mid-City is responsible.
Okay. Okay, great. And then here is, if anyone wants to raise their hand, feel free. So I have to read these. Okay, so Ms. Phillips goes, how wide will the sidewalks be in the final condition? As others mentioned, lots of people walk through here. Would be nice to keep the wide sidewalks.
They'll be wide. They'll be the standard city width, which I believe is 8 feet.
Okay, and then other comments are that they want the project to begin as soon as possible. Okay, any other one from the other side has a question for Mr. Carter? Raise your hand or press *9.
Mr. Carter, I have another concern. Really quick about traffic. We are trying to get a traffic study done in front of going down 6th Street down to New York Avenue because it's really huge buildup of traffic and people turning can be dangerous sometimes. I would just like to, be able to reach out to you and that you would be supportive of that, because that's going to potentially affect your renters, when they move in, your residents as they move into this property, they're going to be affected by it. And having 360 something units is going to definitely impact, that roadway and how it's used and how often it's used. And it's definitely going to cause some type of backup. And, I know that you're well aware of what's coming, possibly coming to 501 New York Avenue. All of this is going to be impacted and it's going to really explode upon the area. So we just ask for your support in these issues. I don't know if you're able to speak on that, but we ask that you support our ANC in this so that we make living here a better situation for the people, for the residents here. And you as a developer, you would have a huge influence, with our city leaders to be able to help us get things pushed through. So hopefully you'll be on Team ANC 2G in some of those matters when it comes.
Absolutely. So we actually did back in 2020, before we submitted to the zoning board to receive approval for this project, we would have conducted our own traffic study. So if while you're conducting yours, if you want to reach out, I can share what information I can that might be helpful.
Okay, that'd be good.
Okay, we just have two more things from the chat and then we're gonna move on. So about they would like a Capital Bike station there. Take note.
I'm not, I
DDOT's
don't
gone from the meeting, but there you go. So you know what that is, right, Mr. Carter?
Absolutely, yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if we have an obligation to have a capital bike share in. Typically, those are mandated by DDOT before they approve the plans. But we definitely have bike parking at the property, short and long term. And at the moment, I don't believe any bike share is planned for immediately around the property, but I can double check on that.
Well, we have a whole year to work on it or more, right? Plus,
Definitely
plus,
more.
plus
Yep.
more, yes. And then the last question is, do you have active permits or I don't think you did any permits, right? What did you all do in the past? I can't even recall at this point.
We actually have our building permits.
Oh, you
so
do?
we
Okay.
can start construction. There's a couple other permits that we need to pull that will take a whole lot of time that are related to demolishing the current buildings and then building the below grade parking, but we currently have our building permits.
So you have, and as I said, is anything expired? Are the construction permits expired at all? So everything's active?
They're all active.
Okay, all right. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Carter. We appreciate that. And certainly Commissioner Barry and myself will be in touch. Or if any constituent on the call has further questions, because we're gonna be talking about this.
Absolutely.
For years. And every time I'm on the sidewalk, no joke, I get asked about this more than the jail, it seems like. So you want to hang on, Mr. Carter, because we're talking about the central cell block coming. The nickname is potential jail. So hang on, all right? Because you are only a block away from it. So hang on, so you can learn about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we'll have nicer units though.
I don't know, maybe. All right. We thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so here is I want to call it the highlight of the meeting. Okay, we are talking about 501 New York Avenue, and the Department of Corrections is here talking about, or will be asking us for special exception relief to build the proposed temporary central cell block, aka the potential jail. So at 501 New York Avenue. So who is on? So I see Anjay on. Who else? Department of General Services. Anyone else? Who is repping the Department of General Services tonight? Raise your hand or press *9.
Good evening. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn the camera on. Give me 1 sec.
Is it all together?
Yes.
Oh, well, this is exciting.
There we go.
Wait, do I see Director Faust? I almost can't believe it.
Okay.
How are you, Commissioner?
I'm quite well. This is the first time, well, no, we've talked before, but not at our meeting. So, okay, everyone, let me tee this up, and I thank the Department of General Services and wait, who else is there? So is Director Hunter there? No.
That was fine.
So
No,
you
you're
guys,
not.
okay, so I see two for department, 2 people Department of Corrections and 2 people for General Services, right? Am I correct?
DGS, correct.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else that we need to move? Oh, I see their council. Hold on. Gonna move.
Yeah, council is going to give information
I see
on the
Miss
special
Moldenhire.
exception process.
Yes. Hi, Meredith.
Good evening, commissioners.
How's it going? All right, so here you guys. I feel like I have lived through this. I'm gonna I have one little slide, because let me tee this up for us, because the 501 New York Avenue is in 2G 06, my single member district, but as we all know, this impacts the entire ANC and ANC 6E across the street. And I'm gonna share my screen here, because we have been, and for people who are on this call who don't know how big this has become, this is huge with us and with the DC government. And this is, and we are actually, there's a legal proceeding going on. So, but hold on, let me share my screen here. So people understand how long we have been talking about this. All right, so here we go. This is like a personal calendar here. So for those of you for DGS and corrections, that you will recall this one little slide from our hearing back in March. So let me just tee this up so people understand how this has come about and how we have arrived at today. So way back in March of 2023, it was me who, I don't want to say discovered, but found out about this project. So the night of March 23rd at approximately 11 p.m., I announced to the public that this temporary central cell block was going to come to 501 New York Avenue. There was no outreach on behalf of the government from either Department of Corrections, Department of General Services, from anyone. We didn't know. And so the high level bullet point with this is, if I had not looked on the Department of Buildings website that night, at approximately whatever time it was late, that we would not know. Okay, we were not meant to be told, and they do not like that we found out. And so whatever that you might hear the part of the conversation about 2019 in a budget meeting, no. So we did not receive any sort of outreach. So as you can see from this schedule here, so what happened is we did community engagement with many stakeholders, everyone from the council members to the mayor to city administrator to everyone on this call here, right? DGS, Department of Corrections. And then there was no movement, there was no change. And actually, Department of Corrections did not join us at our meetings, and they were invited twice. So then in the summer of last year, I had actually filed for to basically appeal their permit, their construction permit. We did have a hearing with the Board of Zoning and Adjustments. I'm fast forwarding through. So that hearing was March 13th. So from basically last March in 2023 to this March 13th of 2024 was when we had that hearing with the Department of Buildings appealing the permit, and the commission. We have council. We did have that hearing. It is on May 1st that we won that appeal. ANC 2G did win the appeal, and fast forward some more. The government filed, because then they had to do the real process. Let me make this clear. Previously, they had no intention of coming before the community. They didn't, about their zoning. Anyway, BZA said that they have to come before the community seeking a special exception relief. That is why they are here today, following the process that they were supposed to follow with us. And so here they are today. So, and they'll be asking for that special exception. And then right now, the next hearing is scheduled for September 18th. So there's kind of if for a year and many months, that's a very short abbreviation of certainly what the commission went through and certainly the work that I did to get to this point. All right, so I'm going to give it now to, let me stop sharing. And if anyone would like this slide, this is all public, okay? And turn it over to our guests, all right?
Okay, I'm gonna share our presentation.
Okay.
On the screen.
Can you see the presentation?
Yep.
Yep.
Ready? What are they saying?
They can see it. Yeah, they can.
They can see it, yeah. Good evening, commissioners. I'm Tom Faust, Director of the DC Department of Corrections. It's good to be here tonight. Just briefly, what we're going to be doing is giving a presentation both on providing updates and review the elements of the DGS, since it's been a while since DGS made the presentation in May of last year. We're going to review the elements again of the DGS presentation in terms of the building and the renovation itself, again for the CCB project plans, and also talk some about the daily renovation plans, which I'm sure you're interested in hearing about also. And then Meredith again will be going over a slide to give specific information on the special exception process with BZA. Now I'll just turn it over to DGS and Alam Al-Alami, who's going to take us through very briefly through the agenda. And then we're going to walk through these slides. Again, some of them that you've seen before, but we just want to bring everybody back up, and we'll walk through the slides, and then we've reserved time at the end for question and answer period. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Alam with DGS.
Thank you, Director. Good evening, Commissioner Nagro. Good evening, all commissioners. Thank you for inviting us to this meeting. We'll start with the agenda. Okay, so as Director Faust mentioned, we have a few items to cover, from a project background to this location, 501, then the existing CCB at Daly, then the operations at the 501, the planned operation, and we're going to share some few site plans and building views, and also existing conditions. We're going to discuss what's the scope of the 501, and we're going to discuss the new project that has been included and is funded for a permanent CCB at Daly. We're going to share the schedules as of today for both the Daly permanent schedule and the 501. And then we'll turn this to Meredith to discuss about the special exception. And again, we'll close out with questions and answers. All right, the project background, the renovation of the 501 New York Avenue Northwest is a sub-project to the Daly Swing project. The Daly Swing project provides a temporary solution to the current tenants currently at the Daly building. And it's because of the aging conditions of Daly building, deplorable conditions. So these temporary swing spaces are needed for the tenants until the larger Daly building project is addressed. The Daly Swing project funded in 2019 under a project called BRM 18C, Daly/MPD Building Swing. It has 2 tracks. So the first track is almost completed, actually. It's relocating the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police Department from Daly building next door to Mariam Berry's building. The project is almost completed. It's 95% completed. And actually, we heard a lot about the NATO summit early, but their new Joint Operation Command Center, the JOC, was activated early this month and was utilized during this event in the city. Track 2, which is the Department of Corrections Central Cell Block Temporary Swing into 501 New York Avenue. The project was awarded to Keystone Plus in January earlier this year. The abatement work was completed, and then as a result of the initial BZA and the deliberation at the BZA, DGS issued a work stop order for the contractor in March 2024, pending the BZA hearing outcomes. 501 New York Avenue background. Again, why 501? 501 is 1930s building with 60s addition. The building is the only building that meets the criteria in the DC inventory, with proximity to the courthouse, matching infrastructure with the needed use, with existing holding cells and existing sally port. Sally port is the unit where you have two doors and vans could come in, then the door will close, and then you can load or offload detainees. And again, it is located centrally, within the district for MPD operational requirement. The existing building has 19 operation holding cells, and again, an existing sally port. The building is part of the historic district, but it's not on the historic register. Construction activities will generally be contained within the walls of 501 New York Avenue. Next slide, please.
Just quickly, again, existing CCB operational challenges. Alam mentioned some of those. As mentioned, it is a sub-project of the Daly building renovation. There's a extremely critical need in terms of the challenges that we're facing and the district is facing currently at the CCB located at Daly. It's aging facility, aging infrastructure. We have failing HVAC systems, electrical and plumbing issues, system issues within the CCB, ADA issues, water infiltration. HVAC, for example, last year we had to, in fact, move everyone out to various MPD districts during a period of time that the HVAC went down for a period of about 2 weeks or so. We experience piping and plumbing issues, environmental issues, extreme pest control issues, including rats and roaches. One of the big things, now that Daly is empty, it's an empty building with just the CCB in the bottom. So any vermin and everything that might be in that building seems to make its way down to the area that's now vacated. But Daly also being a vacant building just further exacerbates the conditions. And they're really, honestly, they're not conditions that the district DOC staff should have to work in on a daily basis. And they're not conditions that are really acceptable for the arrestees. So there's a very critical need to move out and get that area renovated. Next slide, CCB operations at 501 New York Avenue. Just a few highlights. Again, the 501 would serve as a temporary swing space, temporary home for the CCB holding facility, which holds initial arrestees from MPD and other law enforcement agencies until their immediate court appearance. So again, these are not individuals that have been committed to DOC, committed to jail. This is only a very temporary holding facility until they go to their immediate court appearance the following day. And normally it's a matter of someone being held in there from a few hours to somewhere between, say, 12 and 24 hours at the most. The CCB is operational, obviously 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. As such, corrections personnel, correctional officers are on site working there and are always present. Overnight, again, anyone who's an overnight detainee are transferred immediately to the courts the first thing in the morning on the next court morning. Detainees from MPD districts are received at CCB daily, and as has been mentioned before in terms of no releases will be made at 501 New York Avenue. And in fact, we're working currently to return the issue of any releases, even at the current CCB, was something that was done during the COVID period. Pre-COVID, those releases were not made, and we are working to go back to that as part of the release processing. Very limited loading activity will take place at the facility. In other words, again, this is not a jail facility. We don't have kitchens. We don't have cooking. We don't have large deliveries of any sort coming into that facility. So that would be very limited of any type of delivery or loading activities taking place at that facility. Next, going into the site plan, I'll turn it back over to Ajay. Good evening. So I'm going to run through some of the plans and drawings. What I'm showing here now is just the site plan itself that shows the current location of 501 and the site and how it will be utilized. Moving on to the next slide is some images of the building. I think Alam mentioned that we will be doing majority of the renovation on the interior of the facility, so the facade will remain the same. And these are just some views from different directions on the site. The next slide is an image of the Sally Port. This is adjacent to the main building. It has a door in the front and back and locks securely to allow detainees to be entered into the facility and processed securely and privately. The images you see here are some of the existing holding cells at 501 New York Avenue. We have some more images of the holding cells at 501. All of the existing holding cells will be renovated to meet the new design requirements. So just a quick overview of the scope. The abatement is basically done. There will be some interior selective demolition. We will be renovating the existing 19 cells and constructing 27 new cells for a total bed count of 85. We'll be replacing the security system and replacing in total all of the MEP systems and infrastructure. There will be sound enhanced cells to ensure that the facility is soundproof, and we will renovate the administrative space for DOC and employees. On the exterior, we will be making repairs to the roof, and we'll be patching and repointing brick as necessary. The windows we'll be making repairs to, but that work will be limited. We will be addressing sound attenuation on the interior of the facility, and we will have all new doors and site fixing. I'm going to go into some of the plans. So on the first level, this is the main level where we will enter the building where they'll be processing. The holding cells on this level, and there's processing taking place on this level. The next slide is the basement where we'll be adding new cells. These are new holding cells that will be added to the facility. And then there's a mezzanine level where we will have additional holding cells added. On the top floor, we will be doing renovations as noted for DOC FTEs. And then this next slide is just images that we've been working off of to develop our design for the fencing that will be installed.
All right. So as we covered on the agenda, we added an item to talk about the new project that's being funded, the CIP fiscal year 2025, for the CCB, for funding the CCB at Daly. This is the permanent CCB at Daly. So the funding for the project, as you can see on the chart, it starts in 26 and it goes all the way into 29 for a total of $22 million. We'll talk about the schedule, I believe, on the next slide. On the project description, I'm not going to read it all, but it clearly, the project was added by council with the support, of course, of the executive, is to really answer the question, of a permanent CCB. I think, this kind of shows the commitment that the government is providing $22 million to renovate the existing Daily. But again, to do the renovation, you still have to swing out. And again, we'll talk about that schedule. This is the Daily CCB funding and timeline. Again, if you saw from the prior slides, the funding, starts in 2026. So with the first fusion of funding, DGS will be working to procure and award the design AE services. Then that design will continue. The actual design development will start in third quarter of 26 and will continue into second quarter of 2027. That will be followed by permitting, about 2 quarters of permitting from the second to the third quarter. Then we'll be procuring the construction activities for the permanent Daily. And we're looking to award construction in the first quarter of 2028. Again, this is how the money is provided. But again, we couldn't get there, earlier, especially with the money coming on 26. Construction is anticipated to be between 30 and 36 months. It's more in the construction at the existing, Daily will require more logistics. As again, you try to work, within a building, like a building within a building. Usually when you build, spaces like this, there is an amount of time that's dedicated, for proper testing, all the electronic security, the camera system have to be tested. Then there's activation, then there's a training on the new system that's offered for the DOC staff and officers. As construction finishes in the fourth quarter of 2030, again, this will be the timeline, for moving back from 501, moving back to the permanent location at Daly. So that would be in the fourth quarter of 2021. Then again, the 501 New York Avenue will be vacated on first quarter 2031. This is the 501 in New York Avenue schedule. Some of these dates, of course, are in the past, as we discussed earlier, that the project was underway till we had the stop work order. So the design was completed in November 22nd, 2022. The permit was issued in November 23. We were doing bidding, evaluation, selection between August and November 2023. If you recall, MPD units were occupying this location. So MPD moved out of this space to a newly renovated space at New York Avenue 2850. That's a lease space. So again, they moved out of the building between November and January. They probably came back in February just to confirm that there were, some FFE that whether they still want it or not. The construction of 501 was awarded to Keystone in January 2024. The initial construction period was 14 months. The construction, if we would not have stopped, would have gone to March 2025. The BZA appealed the hearing and the second hearing. Again, if you recall, the first one was in March 2024. During that hearing and based on the deliberation, DGS thought it was appropriate to stop work and gave the contractor a stop work order. At that time, it was really a natural stage in the construction schedule to stop they were almost completing the abatement. And they just finished the abatement and we stopped them, at that stage. Then again, we're now engaged in the special exception hearing, and that's why we're here today. Hopefully, we get construction to resume, and we plug in a date of October. Even though the initial construction, was 14 months, we believe that the 3-4 weeks that we spent on the abatement would probably, would not shorten the schedule because there was mobilization, demobilization. So the contractor will have to demobilize, again at that stage. So we're still projecting the 14 months. The same activity that we discussed on permanent daily. Again, these facilities do need testing, training, and activation, and that will go into February 2026. Then again, we will move the CCB from daily to 501 in March 2026. We'll vacate daily in March 2026. And again, as we had on the other slide, the last milestone really ties back to the prior schedule when we move out, when we move the temporary CCB out of 501 and back to daily. Next slide. I will turn it over here to Meredith.
Thank you so much. Meredith Moldenhauer, Land Use Council at Cozen O'Connor. As indicated, we are here today. We've lost our slide, but that's okay. Someone can pull that back up. We're here today to discuss.
I'm sorry, was there more of the slides? I apologize.
Yeah, one second. Give us a
Okay,
second.
sorry, that was me.
We're here today to talk about the special exception relief that goes hand in hand with this proposed project. We are asking for a special exception relief to enlarge the existing conforming large-scale government use. The property 501 New York Avenue is located in the downtown zone. The downtown zone is not a residential zone, but a high density commercial and mixed use zone under the DC zoning regulations. And this proposed use is permitted as a special exception. We submit that we do qualify under the special exception standard and have outlined that in our filing and are happy to discuss it here tonight as well. The special exception standard, as many of you are aware, is a 3-part standard that you must be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning regulations and zoning map. As I identified, this property is located in a high-density commercial mixed-use zone that also identifies federal and infrastructure use in the zone, and we believe that we are compliant with that as well as the existing building and prior use. We will not tend to adversely affect the use of neighboring properties in accordance with the zoning regulations and the zoning map. We've outlined the limited nature of the use and the limited time period of the use. We obviously understand that there are a lot of comments and concerns, but we believe that when you look at the use from an adverse effect, that those can also be mitigated based on a lot of the limitations, restrictions that we've discussed tonight. We also have an opportunity for discussions regarding potential special conditions. Right now, we are open to discussing those, but we think that given the already limited use and the number of detainees that we have on the site, and the fact that there would be noise dampening and other type of security features, that those would address any of those concerns. At this point in time, we'll open it up for questions and to address any comments.
All right, well, I'm going to begin. This has been my life every day since March of 2023, and that is not an understatement, folks. Let me tell you. Not and the other side knows, right? DGS, they've seen all my emails for more than a year. All right, so I want to make it clear to everyone on the call, to the commissioners, and to our audience. Many of you who are my constituents. The government is here tonight. This is a forced hand by us, okay? So because we won, the appeal hearing, they have had to come here. I can assure you, without our legal proceeding that we won in May, which was significant, they would not be here. Okay, y'all need to, if I had not looked on that website, this thing would have moved in and no one would have known. Okay, so just remember that. So now I have for Director Faust, you received my email this morning. I just have a couple questions. I'm gonna let the commissioners ask their questions, and of course, everyone from the audience. There's a couple of bullet pointed questions for me. So you received my email this morning about the condition from Council Member Pinto and this conditions letter that you sent out that no one asked for, that she said that there will be no releases from this site, meaning 501. Department of Corrections has committed to provide transportation for any released arrestee from the central cell block to DC Superior Court where accessible transportation is provided. So, and I've asked repeatedly for many, many months now if anyone had that letter looked at in terms of a lawyer, right? I never got an answer. Never got an answer. But it's not surprising. But we have legal guidance in the Office of ANC. So they looked at the letter. And so, and I wrote you this morning, Director Faust, and actually to Director Hunter, but you were on the email, that that per guidance that I received from the Office of ANC with their legal counsel, that it seemed that unless the mandated transportation is in the release order from the court, that an inmate cannot be required to take transportation offered by the Department of Corrections. In many cases, there is no order, so detainees are simply free to go. So this talk about no one's going to be released, from what we can see, that, people are going to be released. Can you speak to that, Director Faust? Has anyone actually looked at this letter?
Yeah,
Maybe your counsel can look at that.
I will speak to it to say that, as I've stated before, part of the release processing, as part of that release processing will involve transportation of those individuals. So in other words, their point of release will not be at the CCB. Their release processing will not be completed at that point. So I remain consistent in what I've said, that we will not be operationally, we will not be releasing individuals directly from the CCB.
But it has to be part of the release order. So you can't just and maybe I'm wrong again, maybe I'm wrong, but it has to be part of the release order from the court. So you're saying that all of that will be part of the release order from the court?
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that our release processes by DOC, that we will not be releasing individuals directly from the CCB.
Okay, so I think the commission, myself, will get further legal guidance on this, because it doesn't seem to make it, what we received thus far doesn't seem to jive with what you're saying. So we'll leave it at that. We'll get further guidance, and maybe you'll get some guidance too. Okay. So and then also, as far as and let me put this out to the audience. So currently I'm being denied to see the current central cell block. I have been asked for, I don't know how many months, you guys, many, many months, to see the current central cell block, because, I don't need to see the cells, right? I want to see the transportation area and what happens down there. And I have been denied. So Director Faust, can you tell myself and my constituents, why am I being denied to see this transportation area, so I have further guidance about what happens at the central cell block? Because we only got parking spaces for 4 cars. And from what I understand, what people have told me, what's underneath the Daily building is a huge transportation area for delivery. So for everyone to be aware, the current central cell block entrance is on 3rd Street by the Department of Labor. There's a ramp, everyone goes down. No one sees anything. All right. So we're supposed to have, I think, MPD, Park Police, Capitol Police, Secret Service, US Marshals, all come to this building, plus employees, plus vendors, whoever else is going to show up here. Many, many things that we currently can't see, and I'm being denied. So why am I being denied to see the current central cell block? All I want to see is the transportation area.
Well-
Grow and Director, you can respond in a moment, but I just want to make sure we're here talking about one property, and that's 501. And I understand obviously you're trying to correlate it with what's happening in another building, but what's happening in another building really has
There's no
no
correlation.
standing on how the 501I will operate and the request for that special exception. And Director Faust, I'm sure you might want to address Commissioner Grove's comment, but I want to make sure that's clear that we try to focus in on the special exception standard and, operations at 501 New York.
Okay, I get what you're saying, Meredith. I understand.
Well,
two items that, as stated, there is no correlation whatsoever in terms of what goes on currently at the CCB and what the operations will be at 501 New York Avenue. So I don't see any correlation, number one, between looking at the transportation drop-off area for current CCB at Daly has no relationship whatsoever to how our operations will work at 501 New York Avenue. In terms of the visitation, what my answer was that just as will be the case in the 501 New York Avenue, we do not give visitation or tours or anything of that sort within the CCB operations, because it is a continuing operation that's going. It's not like giving a jail tour over down at the DC jail. So we don't give, and there was a question that came up about, well, about visitors. Again, there's a confusion between a jail operation and an operation of what this is, a temporary holding cell. We don't allow visitors. There are no visitors that come. There are no attorney visits. There are no personal visits. So that there needs to be a differentiation between a lot of what seems to be thought of in terms of a jail where you do have visitors come. We do not have at CCB in terms of large deliveries of trucks that come in to outfit a jail kitchen. We don't even have it. There is no kitchen at CCB, nor will there be. So there's a confusion, I think, in some areas in terms of what appears to be thought of will be operational realities at CCB that simply aren't true.
Okay, so I'm not confused, Director Faust. So the question was basically, I mean, well, I'm not going to belabor this. The transportation, what that happens at the current Central Cell Block, which you want to move the current Central Cell to 501 New York Avenue, is that whoever shows up there with their vehicles, whether it be vendors, employees, all those multi-forces, there is simply no room. Okay, and that is the reality of it. You are directly in front of my constituents, literally feet away. There is no room for these. That's it. That's why I wanted to go check out what happens, but that's fine. I'm gonna move on. So now you had mentioned, we had talked about staging, because here's how this for my constituents. So right now you could have multi-agencies, police go into the Central Cell Block, they go swooping down, whether it be Park Police, MPD, at the same time. Right now, if this was to be moved to 501 New York Avenue, you can't have all that because your Sally Port only holds one car. And so when I asked you, how's it going to work when you have like four MPB vehicles involved and all this, and what's going to happen? And you said they're going to be staged. I can't even imagine this. If something happens in Georgetown, there's 4 police cars involved and they're staged to 501 New York Avenue. But what if something happens with the Park Service? Right now, we don't see any of that. You're not going to answer this. I know this, but this I want my constituents to know. There is no plan for this space. You have one little thing, the Sally Port, for your vehicles. So are they going to be hanging out on L Street? Are they going to be hanging out in the Safeway? There is no, I don't know what you want to answer, or if you want to answer at all, but the staging thing and all, it just sounds like there is literally no plan.
Well, there absolutely is a plan. In fact, I've had several discussions with the executive assistant chief at MPD, and there is absolutely a plan that we're working on in terms of staging and in terms of coordinating with the local MPD districts as far as any drop-offs. So
There is a plan and it is being worked on.
But you're forgetting about the park police, you're forgetting about the Capitol Police, you're forgetting about, I guess, Marshall show up there and Secret Service. What about all those? They
We're
all
not
go,
forgetting,
We're not forgetting about it.
we're not forgetting a lot of those, most of those services are coordinated through MPD. Ultimately, a person has to go through MPD. So there is a process in place, and we are coordinating with all of the known entities to ensure that that this is handled.
okay, there's no plan. I get this because
Okay.
it's such a
Wow.
small place at 501. I mean, apparently we get it, my constituents get it. We can't even imagine all these vehicles showing up, much less detainees coming. But we're gonna move forward. Okay, so when you guys talk about the conditions, this and that at the current central cell block, that's not our fault. That's your fault. So you did not maintain the current central cell block, right? And so I don't even know what to say to that, but there is an alternative space, which I have brought up over and over again, and that's 510 4th Street, which is a block away from the current central cell block. There is and you know this, you guys know this, there is a very large cell block underneath that federal building. There is no excuse why that cannot be used as a temporary space. And I know what you're gonna say.
It's not viable space. It's
Yeah,
not
it's-
viable space.
It is a viable space. It was used
Commissioner Bro,
before.
I want to just remind the commission that, you know, how the district selects a property for specific use is not part of the Board of Zoning Adjustments purview. And this is actually, I represented the city in regards to their location of some of the DC homeless shelters and their family homeless shelters. And this was attempted to be discussed by ANCs during those procedures. And it was completely confirmed that that was not part of the specific BZA process. It came in as part of one of the variance tests, but here we're asking for special exception relief. And I just want to make sure that to benefit your constituents and your individuals, that maybe we focus on the special exception standards and issues that we may be able to address as part of that process. So that way we can, obviously, the location and the identification of this site has been done. And now the question becomes whether or not we can satisfy the special exception standard and, obtain the approval.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave one more statement. I'm gonna move on to my commissioners. So Meredith and Director Val, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I know why we're here. It's the forced hand again, but it is the amount of cells that you want to put at 501 New York Avenue is simply too many. And it's insulting for the surrounding real estate owners at that daycare center, those constituents that are literally feet away. I mean, I don't know. You all have seen my emails for more than a year, right? So, and you'll be hearing from me many, many times more, but I want to move on to my fellow commissioners who I'm sure would like to say something. So who wants to see Stephen?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. I just have a few questions, and I will try to keep them brief and related specifically to the special exception. So first, I just wanted to ask, on average, how many detainees or arrestees are brought to the CCB daily?
An average number in terms of how many would be in there would be somewhere in the 40s, 40, 45 range. It varies, but that's kind of an average number.
Okay, and if you mentioned in your presentation that this would be receiving arrestees and detainees from all those agencies and MPD districts, but the loading will be limited. I'm very curious to understand how the loading will be limited, considering you've told us you want 85 cells. You're going to have 40 to 45 people in there a day. They're going to be in there temporarily, so they'll be brought in.
I'm sorry, there's 46 cells, I believe, 19 existing and 26 additional.
Oh, thank you. My apologies. But you're saying that you will be bringing folks there daily and that you'll also be arranging transportation for them to exit the space. And you're trying to say that this won't have an impact on the traffic and the infrastructure of the roadway there. I don't see how, if you're saying folks will only be there 24 hours, 12 to 24, and you're bringing all these transports in and out, that is quite the strain. That roadway, you know, it's that little weird cutout, so there's not a lot of space to do any of this. So you are saying in your special exception relief, you don't believe that's the case. I'm curious to hear, given all the details you've presented so far, why you're led to believe that.
But also before, one of the issues is we're looking only at the increase, obviously. So we also think that when you're looking at it from that perspective, it does reduce the overall impact. But Director Faust, if you want to provide some general information on how the detainees will be unloaded and moved.
Sure. First thing, two things. One, on the limited transportation, on one piece of it, I was referring to very limited in terms of deliveries to this building. Again, we don't have food services there. There's not those kind of deliveries. We, any supplies that normally would go to a large, you know, to a building's, you know, office supplies, whatever, mattresses, that's all done internally, like DOC does that. So we don't have outside vendors that would be coming in and out to the CCB. In terms of transportation to court, again, it's a temporary holding facility that these individuals have been arrested and they have not yet gone to have their initial hearing in court. So each morning there will be a delivery of those arrestees to the courthouse.
Thank you. That's my only.
So they're taken to the courthouse. They don't come back. They're taken in the morning to the courts for their initial arraignment. And then one of two things, they don't come back whatsoever to the CCB. One of two things will happen. They will either get released by the court in their initial hearing, or released on a bond, or just released outright, or whatever, or the court will commit them to the custody of the DOC at the DC jail. So there'll be an actual jail commitment. Those individuals, again, they do not come back to CCB. They would go directly from the court lockup where the marshals hold them, and then they would be taken to the DC jail on 19th Street Southeast.
Okay, Commissioner Barry.
Right, hi. So my question is, so you're gonna have 40 people dropped off there for possibly 24 hours at a time, you know, rolling in and out of the building. But if someone is arrested over the weekend, you will have to feed them. You will have to give them, you know, beverage, you know, you have to sustain them in some way before they're.
Right, that's correct. We essentially have what you would call like bag lunches.
Okay.
And there is court on Saturdays also. So the only day that there is not court is on Sunday.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense with that. But I just, I'm concerned because I know that it's not, it's been told to us that it shouldn't be an issue of how DC chooses its space, and that, you know, the focus of the topic is that this is a special exception. But when you make in your argument that this is the only space in DC, and then say, but you can't bring up like how we chose this area, that just doesn't seem okay. We need to be able to make that a part of our concerns to you, because if you can say to us, this is the only space available in all of DC is your neighborhood, and we're gonna put it here, then we should be able to say to you, hey, that's not true. There's a space over here. You need to look at that as well. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention, that, you know, Commissioner Nigro has a very great point to stand on when it comes to that. And I'm very proud of the work she's done with this. I'm glad that you guys are here, but I also hope that you consider the concerns of the neighbors that are here, not only at the meeting, the work of the commission, specifically Commissioner Nigro and her her ability to get this before you, because the way you guys came into our neighborhood was everything, was sneaky. You know, it's like you were just gonna secretly put a jail there, and it showed no concern or consideration for the people who lived here. And that's why we have such an aversion to how you all are dealing with us and your special exception. So we will be tough on you, and we hope that if you do move there, that you are respectful while you're there, that you come to our meetings, that you hear our concerns, that you're not just releasing people, that you're like, oh, well, this happened, and blowing it off, because this took a lot of work, and it's only happening because Commissioner Nigro caught it on a fly. Like, she could have missed this and we would have had a jail in our neighborhood.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. And I just want to, before I call on Tony and Alex, I just want to say, talk about respects for the community before I forget, for the people on the other side. So Department of General Services, I have tweeted twice about the condition of this building, the 501, and my constituents have put in 311 requests. Y'all aren't maintaining it. For me, that's a foreshadowing of what's going to come. Get a weed whacker. I don't know what's going on over it. It's just a mess. And you've got tagging on it now too. Okay, Tony.
Good evening. I just have a follow-on question to Commissioner McCarty's question. Being it's going to have the numbers of people that are coming and going, are they coming singularly or do they come in groups and go in groups? Because if they're coming singularly, it definitely will be a negative impact to the surrounding area.
Are you talking about arrestees coming to CCB?
Yes.
I mean, there's a combination there. Some do come single and some are multiple. So it's a combination of both.
Is that it, Tony? Okay, Commissioner Padro.
All right, to follow up on Commissioner Brown's question, what is the largest capacity vehicle that will be transporting arrestees that can be accommodated by the Sally Port?
The multi-passenger.
Essentially like a multi-passenger van, basically that size.
So with corrections officers or MPD officers, how many arrestees would be able to be accommodated in one delivery?
I'd have to get back with you on it an exact number, because I know, again, MPD has multiple passenger vans, whether or not what specific their different sizes are, I would have to get that information back to you.
Okay, so very specifically, I'm looking for, if it's a 6-passenger van, there need to be 3 MPD officers or corrections officers transporting, hearing the arrestees, and then 3, or the balance would be arrestees. So I'm trying to figure out what's the maximum number with one delivery that is able to be brought through that Sally Port. So you can get back to us, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
For one. Number 2, how many people will be employed at this location? So that includes Department of Corrections, any other agencies. How many people will actually be working there on a daily basis?
There are no other agencies. What about?
8 to 10. It's 8 to 10 per shift.
About approximately 9 or 10 per shift.
It's 3 shifts.
3 shifts, 9 to 10 people per shift.
Okay, and then, so where will those employees' vehicles be parked?
They have.
There's parking, there's a small parking lot, and also there is street parking right along the side. So we're coordinating how we're going to, whether they're going to park in that parking lot or along the street. I don't have the slide up.
So since you're talking about staging, to be able to bring VRSCs there from different precincts or from different crime scenes or arrest scenes, you're presumably going to be using some of that street frontage for staging of these vehicles. I mean, if you've got them lined up or they're going to be dispatched so they arrive at the temporary cell block at a certain time, you're going to have a certain number of vehicles on the street in addition to vehicles that are being parked by employees, correct?
I'm sorry, what is your?
I'm not sure.
What is your
What's the question?
You mentioned that there was a staging plan in order to be able to ensure that the RSDs do not overwhelm the capacity of the Sally Port.
Right, and that staging plan is in the early development with MPD, and it would involve that individuals would be held at the various districts, and then they would be coming to CCB as we're able to to phase them through.
Coordinated drop off.
A coordinated drop off.
I mean, it's similar to what we would have like a loading management plan. And I think what we can do is we can have, additional discussions internally and get back to, the ANC on this point.
Okay, because again, you're talking about, what is the additional parking burden and staging burden from vehicles that is being proposed for that very short block. So and we're trying to get the big picture of what all the different impacts are there. My last question is about the funding for the overall daily renovation project. So has that now been approved by the council? Is that in place in the capital budget?
So you're talking about the slide we presented, the 22 million?
I'm talking about the overall development, renovation project for the entire daily building.
No. There was a funding that we saw. I'm not sure if that being finalized for 187 million, I believe. But I know that the 22 million is already being voted by council, and it will be shown on the next, whenever the budget book is published.
Right, but obviously the renovation of the central cell block is not a standalone, project that it has to take into consideration the overall, renovation of the building. So if the renovation of the building isn't funded yet, and the renovation of the cell block is funded, then obviously, all the schedules that you've shown us don't mean a whole thing.
No, it's not true statement, with all respect. So this is why the cost of it is 22 million. The cost of building, at 501 is approximately 10 to 13 million. So that takes into consideration that the central cell block at Daly will have its own standalone systems. So they will not be part of, the building, regardless of what happened at Daly. So the funding is intended to have this, the permanent CCB on a standalone, within the footprints of the building.
You'll have to excuse me, but having been a commissioner for 22 years and having seen how the district government works, I don't believe that the district government would renovate a part of a building, not take into consideration the overall renovation of the building in terms of the staging and the scheduling of the construction project. So I'm having a major problem believing that we have a schedule that's actually able to be kept in terms of how long that central cell block is going to be at 501 if the daily building renovation isn't being coordinated in such a way that it's going to allow the central cell block to come back online. But those are my questions.
Okay, and I'm going to actually tag on to Alex just for a nanosecond. So when you guys talked to Department of Corrections, you had mentioned you're talking to someone about the parking near there. Who are you talking to? You have a plan? Because I actually have a plan. So who are you talking to about the parking around that building?
I don't know if anyone made any comments about parking.
Talking to people.
Who are you
I
talking
said we've
to?
been talking to MPD about coordinating the transport
No, you
around,
mentioned, you mentioned about parking around that, we're talking about employees and parking around that building. You had said that you were talking to someone about the plan. Who were you talking to?
that's not what we said. That's not what we said. No.
Oh, okay, because currently it's supposed
Not
to
sure I
be,
understand what you're asking.
you had said about, Alex had mentioned about people coming and the parking on that, around that building. So right now, we're waiting for two sides are gonna be paid parking, and the other side's gonna be residential. So I don't know who you're talking to. But there's that. That's our plan. So we have a plan. All right, so Commissioner Watkins.
Yes, I got a couple of questions.
All right.
How many individuals will be housed in that building at a given time in one day?
Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Again, just like on an average type number, you're looking at somewhere in the 40s, 45, something like that.
So how many?
But again, when in the morning, all of those people leave, they go to court and they don't return to CCB. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they're either going to get released from the courthouse by the judiciary, or they are going to be committed to the custody of the Department of Corrections, at which time they would be directly transported to the DC jail facilities. So that's how that would work.
So you're saying every morning, the individuals that are housed there that night is gonna be, the building is gonna be empty in the morning. So it'll start all
That's
over.
essentially correct, yes.
Okay, really? So, I know they talked about this, but I don't remember getting an answer, understanding what actually determined the use of this building as opposed to the use of 510 4th Street or any other building. Maybe that's a long answer, I'm not sure. But could you briefly tell me what was the factoring what actually determined that you'll use this building instead of any other building in DC, especially on 4th Street?
Because it's the best building to meet the district's needs for the use of a CCB within the district portfolio. And it also is a.
So I keep hearing about 510 4th Street.
It's also a facility that historically.
Meet the needs, because you're saying that could not meet the needs. Is
I'm
that
sorry,
correct?
I couldn't hear I'm sorry, I could not hear your question.
So can you say it one more time?
So 510 4th Street could not meet the needs.
That's correct.
Okay. Because I don't know what the needs are other than the cell block. So I guess 510 4th Street doesn't have any cell blocks. So maybe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well,
It has a
I'm
ton.
thinking maybe it doesn't, because it couldn't meet the needs. All right.
So Director Faust, could you make it clear for Mr. Watkins? You guys keep mentioning like 40 something. It's going to be a variable every day, right? With how many people, but there's potentially, especially if there's like say if there was a riot at the NATO summit, which thank God there wasn't, there could be 80 people there. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct, because in those cases, individuals will be held at the police districts that have their own lockups.
So there will be, you have a.
So in other words, for a mass arrest type situation, they're not going to all come piling in the CCB. They're going to be held at all the local police districts, and then they would be transported by MPD to the courts the following day.
But you could have up to 80 detainees, right, Director Faust? You could have that many.
Conceivably, there could be.
So conceivably, you could have 80 detainees there every day.
No.
Well, why not?
Because
It's,
might happen.
Based it on past, what
yeah,
we're talking about our
it's
average.
based on anything that we've seen that's not, you can what if to death, but no.
Yeah, I can't predict the future, but no one would have thought we'd be here today. So listen, I'm not surprised by anything. Go ahead, Commissioner Watkins.
Yes, so you have a plan for overflow. And at no given time will you have more detainees in that building than is allowed. And if you're supposed to have 45, if you have number 46 come, they'll be detained at one of the precincts. Is that correct?
No, not using your numbers. No,
Well,
not
I mean,
46,
I'm just
but yes.
thinking, I'm
Yeah,
doing
okay.
hypothetically.
Overflow.
But yes,
just being
what is correct is once we would reach a maximum capacity, we would not go beyond that.
So the max capacity is what, Director? So Commissioner Watkins understands. What is the maximum capacity?
There's 46 cells, and the absolute maximum would be if you were to double bunk each of those cells would be the absolute maximum.
So do the math. What is the maximum capacity, Director Faust, for the temporary central cell block at 501? What is
about 90?
90. Well, that's a new number for me.
If you're double bunking 46 cells, that's 92. That's 92. But are you going to double bunk them, or have y'all made that determination whether you're going to double bunk them, or put 3 to a cell or 4 to a cell?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be safe or secure either for the staff or the arrestees.
And the numbers don't support that maximum.
So we're saying a maximum of about approximately 92.
The absolute maximum would be that you could possibly do would be double selling the cells. And there are some specialty cells within that. So it's not 46 times 2. And I'd have to get back with you with the numbers, but we have some specialty cells. In other words, we have some cells for someone who's in mental health crisis or something like that. Or we have a certain number of designated ADA cells, which by design can only hold 1. So that number, and I'd have to get back with you on the exact, but that number probably is more like something like 40 cells and not 46 cells.
So let me pause you for a second. I love this. I love it. I have been dealing with this every day since March of 2023. So you are telling me at this exact moment, you do not know, Director Faust, what is the maximum at 501 New York Avenue? After all of this time, you cannot tell us that number. Is that correct?
Commissioner Negron,
wait. I want to hear from Director Faust.
Excuse me. He did provide it, but he also stated that there are unknown factors. Director Faust cannot determine who is going to be arrested in any given day. And so there's a variation based on who is potentially being detained at any one given period of time based on their mental health capacity or other factors. So I think we're happy to, obviously, you've asked the question. This is a continuing process. We've heard a lot of these different issues. We're happy to come back, and we're happy to provide additional information based on the questions we've heard tonight.
Okay, so all I know is that we've been doing this for more than a year, and Director Faust doesn't know. Okay, so Sheena Berry, go ahead.
Okay, has anyone ever escaped the Daily building? Like, because we're definitely worried about security concerns, like if someone leaves or, was to, escape the custody.
No escapes while there have been no escapes while DOC has managed.
There has been 0 escapes since DOC ran the facilities and took over in 2016. As far as historically going way back, I can't speak to that, but I can absolutely tell you that DOC has never experienced an escape.
So I have a story. So for those constituents that I've talked to a lot, I go down to this current substance and I watch what goes on. And I was told one time that people are released from the central cell block. They walked up the ramp. There is some mental issues. They were running around Third Street, running around to the Department of Labor, and this went on, and they had to recapture him and then bring him back to the cell block. So anyway, there's things that happen. You don't have to comment about that, but there's things that happen, and that things are gonna, if it moves up here, there are gonna be things that happen up here. Just saying. So people tell me stories. All right. Any other questions from the commissioners before we turn it over to the community? No? All right, so here's what we're gonna do first, community, is we're gonna talk to Dane first. Anyone who wants to speak to us, please raise your little virtual hand or press *9, okay? And we're gonna, Dane here, who's been waiting very patiently. Go ahead, Dane. Dane. Can we move more? I don't see, he's not responding. Dane? No, maybe not. He had a problem last time. Okay, so we're gonna wait for Dane. Oh, there he is. Hi, Dane.
Oh,
Go ahead, Dane.
Who's in the presentation?
You have to unmute yourself.
hello, can you hear me?
Hi, go ahead. Yep.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dane Thomas. I am the property manager for the Madison Victorian. The Madison Victorian is located on the 500th block of L Street, which is directly across from 501 New York Avenue. And I just wanted to say that I first want to thank Director Faust and the representatives from DGS and DOC for coming to address us tonight. I also want to thank Commissioner Nigro for her efforts. Truly, she has been on the front line for us. And I wanted to make known on behalf of the constituents who live there that we frankly just don't appreciate being disrespected and disregarded. The fact that a special exception was needed makes plain our issue. We just want to be heard. We want to be felt like we matter. And in this situation, we don't feel that. And so we just want to be reassured of our safety. We have families who live in this area, and we have people who have lived in this area for many, many years. And just the fact that a special exception had to be given or had to be gotten speaks to our issue. So going forward, we would ask that you take consideration for us who live here in this neighborhood, who have been making our concerns known, and that you take those seriously going forward. That's all I want to say.
No, thanks, Dane. And remember, we're fighting this to the very end, Dane. So we're not at the end yet. But go ahead. Do you guys want to respond to Dane Thomas?
We thank you for your comments, and we look forward to following up with you.
Okay, so we have AWS here. Oh, there you go. Unmute yourself there.
Oh, hi, hello.
Hi.
My name is Agnieszka. I live 440 L Street. I am actually the unit owner there. Thank you, everybody, today. And thank you for what you just said, Dane. I would like, with that statement, that you will treat us seriously. I'm an engineer, so I speak specifics. I would love to see two things that you will share with us for full transparency. One thing would be, did you do the study of other locations, and why did you choose this one, the 503? What were the factors that the other locations are not good? That's number one study. And number two study, for either 46 or 92 detainees that will have to be transported between 8 and 3 within the hours that the court operates, please provide us a detailed traffic study how are you going to manage the traffic and stage or not stage and transport from the area where there is eventually no parking space and one port? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we'll definitely be following up on the loading and the transportation.
But her comment was about the previous considerations for other locations.
And we've heard those questions as well. I'm just following up with the other out.
All right. So, okay, anyone else want to raise their little hand? Or do I have to read all the comments? I don't want to read all the comments. So, oh, there's a new message. Anyone raise their hand if they want to talk to us? Oh, here we go. Here's John. Hi, John.
Hey there. My anger over how the city has behaved is palpable. I'm going to try to be polite and measured in my remarks. I don't understand why the city has been unwilling to share with our neighborhood what the criteria was that led to the selection of 501 New York Avenue. There's been no willingness on this part of the city to disclose what other locations were considered and ruled out. We've just been told you've made this decision and that's it, and that we know best. But we have no confidence in that in that situation because you have not been transparent with us for 2 years now. You have no credibility with this community. So we're asking for additional information to reassure us that you have indeed made the best decision for our city. This is a decision for our city. And that's not lost on me. The Daily Building Central Subblock is deplorable conditions. No one should be housed there today. It's horrendous. So no one's disputing that we need to have a swing space. The question is, where is the best place for that swing space? And there's been no transparency from the city, from your department director, from the city council, from the mayor, from the corrections department, from the police department. No one has said what the process was, why was New York Avenue chosen, and what other locations, what other addresses were considered and ruled out. We need to hear that from the city so we will have confidence in whatever the final decision ends up being. Because right now we don't have confidence in the city, and you all work for us. I know you that's not lost on you. You work for us. But right now we're not happy and we're not feeling listened to. I'd love to know why there hasn't been more transparency on the process.
I had to make a comment first because we weren't supposed to know John. But go ahead. Go ahead, Director Faust, if you want to address that, and General Services to John's comment, please.
Well, I would just say that, again, I'm here as zoning counsel. We are here tonight. We've heard your request for that comment. We've seen that comment in the chat. We will obviously, I will work with and communicate with my client. We will get back with the community on that. But, we are here to review this property and the special exception for the site. We will obviously also, we've heard your other comments, and we will look forward to getting back with you on the other comments that we've heard tonight.
So I want to add something else because I think John and the others would agree. It was 2 years that we didn't know, and it has been a year and a couple months since we didn't. So this is years now of non-transparency. So why aren't we being transparent at this point? I'll leave it at that. Okay, so John, anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, we have Nicole here. Go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you. I just want to echo what my neighbors have said, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Nigro. And I am just disgusted by what I have heard tonight, frankly. the tone and attitude that community members are wasting your time, that you're here to talk about X when this was snuck through on us. And I will also say, frankly, that just because the city can do something and developers can do something doesn't mean you should. And this is a place where you should not have done what you did, and you should not be doing it now, and you should not do it tomorrow. And this is appalling. This is appalling. And to not even be able to fake it through this meeting, to have a level of respect for the people that are going to be deeply impacted by this, it's just making my head explode. And I'm going to stop with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. That's a great statement. Any response? Government or Meredith?
We are hearing your comments, and this is something where we will definitely get back with you and get more information for you on different issues we've heard tonight.
Okay, so there was, I don't know if Commissioner McCarty can help me out with go through some of the questions, and we're going to wrap this up because we got other stuff and we'll have to make the motion. But there was one question in the chat, I think, about the current condition outside of the current central cell block. Where is that question here? Yeah, I can't see it here. Commissioner McCarty, do you see it?
I am looking.
There's a lot of questions. I got pulled down. I'm going to send these, I think, on the side to these guys. I think the question was about the current situation around crime and all around the current central cell block. But here's my talking point with that, is that no one sees anything down there because it's on 3rd Street, the Department of Labor, and the Daily Building, and no one sees anything because it's all underground. So I don't know if, and plus when I've been there watching, it's kind of trashy, but I see it. Well, there it is, right? There's trash and there it is. So I don't know if corrections or general service wants to talk about the conditions surrounding the current central cell block. Do you guys keep it neat? I don't see it neat when I'm down there. No?
Again, we're happy to talk about how this facility will be kept and maintained. And obviously this facility has, we've talked a little bit about, fencing and other things. We're happy to discuss, how 501 will be maintained to address those types of concerns.
Again, no one's maintaining it now. So get the weed whacker, you guys, because it's horrible now. So again, it's a premonition of what's coming. They don't maintain it now. So Commissioner McCarty, you say anything that we want to discuss in the comments before I move on? Anything different?
Can I speak to that for just one second? Sure. I would actually like to say that we have at the Department of Corrections, we will be maintaining 501 New York Avenue once it's turned over into our possession. We currently have and are contracting at our facility on 1901 D Street and E Street. We have a small minority-owned business that maintains our grounds now, and is our intent for them to continue to maintain the grounds. The building is currently not in our possession, and the stop work order has placed, and it's under DGS management, but the stop work order was unanticipated, and therefore, we're not in charge of that. But we do have a contractor at 1901 D and E Street. We are working on, and they will be maintaining, the plan is for them to maintain operations at 501 New York Avenue once we assume control of the location, when and if that happens. So we are fully aware. We do work with our community partners, our small businesses, and to ensure and to operate in that manner. So I do want to clarify and put that information out there as well.
And that's fine, but I was talking to General Services. I get what you're saying, but it's currently with the Department of General Services. I've tweeted, there's been 311 requests, get a weed whacker and maintain your property. What is going on? And it's tagged and there's a sign. Y'all don't care, right? So that's what that says to me, right? Right, constituents, they don't care. All right, so anything else, Commissioner Pratt, that's different before we wrap this up?
There are a couple of questions about if there has been a traffic study conducted for this, and also a summary estimate of how many trips in and out of the building would be. I know we talked quite extensively earlier about the amount of detainees, but I do think this is a different question about just the trips in and out, specifically including staff. And then I'll leave it with that. And
Okay.
community, if you have anything else you want to bump, it might actually be better to re-comment that so I can actually find it. I don't want to miss out anybody's questions.
Yep. And then we're going to wrap this up. So go ahead. What's the first one again, Mr. Spurrier?
Currently do not have a traffic study. We will be working to pull additional information and provide that to the community.
So I'd like to come. Well, why not? After all
We are
these
not
years, why
asking
is
for
it not
any
attractive?
parking relief. We are not asking for any parking relief. We are not asking for loading relief. And so that is, right now we're moving forward on a use application, which is a special exception use application, not a parking relief application and not a loading application.
We understand that, but this is this comes in the future. This is way beyond that. There's going to be traffic, and we've been talking about this now for a year and a couple months, and oh well, no plan. Okay, what's next, Commissioner McCarty?
Okay, so we just got a big batch. Okay, so what specifically was and I know Meredith, you're here for the special relief, so you may or may not be able to answer some of these questions. What specifically was insufficient about the alternate 4th Street location? And that I believe is in reference to the 4th Street location Commissioner Nigro mentioned earlier.
We'd be happy to take these questions and follow up with you. I think we had a lot of these are kind of questions we've already addressed. We had either addressed it in our PowerPoint or Director Faust has already responded to it. We obviously want to be respectful of the community's time. We are copying the chat as well and are happy to get back to the community in maybe a more comprehensive way.
When?
So I can comment about that. So the only excuse they gave is that it's a federal building, but DC deals with doing deals with federal buildings, I assume, quite frequently. So they just don't, they want it at 501 New York Avenue. That is the reason. So,
we've answered that other buildings are not viable and that this was a viable option based on proximity.
Okay. No, all right.
When will you get back to us? When can we expect that answer and how? Is it going to be in writing? Are you coming back to another meeting? We want to know these answers.
You do have another meeting. You do have another meeting prior to our September hearing date. So we would be happy to provide it in writing. Obviously, we'll be providing additional information in writing as part of our pre-hearing statement. And we would be happy to come back to the ANC prior to the September hearing.
Okay. All right. Commissioner McCarty, let's do one more. Pick a good one.
Oh man. Okay. This is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of questions. Actually, there is a hand raised from the audience. I don't know if you want to go back or
there is? I'm sorry.
Or there was.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna allow Anna to speak. Anna, you can unmute yourself.
Hi there. First of all, to the commissioners, thank you for organizing this item on the agenda. I have, I guess, 2 questions. Commissioners, when you presented this item, you mentioned that there had been some kind of a lawsuit that was the reason why this conversation had to be done in the first place. We've been talking a lot about understanding the criteria for why this area was selected. What is the process for actually requesting that the decision be revisited? And how does the community mobilize for that?
So let me tell you where we are now. And so it was an appeal hearing that we had back in March. So what I did is and the commission and myself, we moved forward appeal against their permit for 501, their construction permit that was issued for 501 New York Avenue, right? So there's that part. That happened in March. The decision happened in May, and we won that appeal, right? So there's that part, right? So it wasn't a lot, it was this appeal hearing. That was with the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Now, fast forward, we are in another legal proceeding, again, before the Board of Zoning Adjustment, but the appellants Am I getting my words right, Meredith? So the person on this side is that for the application is the Department of General Services. So with this they have done an application, right? And they are now coming before us seeking this special exception that the previous hearing said they had to have. So that's where we're. So your final part is, what can the community do? I'm going to engage many people in the community. You are going, if you choose to, you can go before the Board of Zoning Adjustment, or you can write them a letter talking about, you know, if they give this special exception relief to the Department of General Services. We, as a commission, we have great weight, and we can say, okay, please don't do this, right? But it is the Board of Zoning Adjustment that will have the final decision. So you can give that board your decision or your opinion. Currently, the hearing is currently on September 18th. We have actually filed we have an attorney involved. Our attorney has filed a motion to postpone the hearing. Now this is going to get a little complicated because the Department of General Services, their application was not, I'll use the word complete, I'm not sure it's the correct, because of their 200-foot radius map was not complete. And I found that out. So that's another thing for me, that application was not correct because that radius map was not correct. So to answer your question, you will hear from me about how you can participate to tell the Board of Zoning Adjustment if you do not want them to receive the special exception. Did that help you out in an abbreviated manner?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
It's
complicated.
To learn. Thank you.
It's hard. It's sucked a year out of my life, and it's very hard to explain. So you can call me if you want more details. Call me 202-236-3329, and I'll tell you the whole story. So
I will invite you over for tea.
Oh God, it'll be a long tea. Okay.
Commissioner Gore, I would just note that I know you have received it. I know the other commissioners have received it, but that the applicant has updated and cured the 200-foot notice. Those have been submitted to the Office of Zoning, and we have also requested that they move forward with the September hearing date. I just want to make sure that everybody in the public is aware, since you did make a comment on that we have revised that information based on the Office of Tax and Revenue's information that we received. We were CC'd on your email communications and did remedy that and are asking for the September date to continue.
But the board has yet to decide. This is where we're at the same page, right, Meredith?
Correct.
We haven't decided that. So we don't know if it's going to be September or whatever. Here's what I do know, though, is that the Department of General Services, maybe I'm right, maybe, is worried about that permit expiring. Maybe I'm right. I don't know.
We are trying to process this application based on the needs articulated in our filings.
Yes.
So
and we haven't received the order yet from the first hearing, which is supposed to revoke the permit. Also interesting, but you know, what do I know? So, I don't know anything. Okay, so I think we're
due course.
Okay. We'll work it out in legally, right? So, all right, everyone. So, any other questions from the commissioners before I do a motion? We're not going to take any more community. We got to move on because Commissioner McCarty's got to do his thing. All right, and so we're going to answer if we have to have questions answered. You know, as you all know, I have a very active social media. We will put answers on the social media like I do. I go live. We'll get the answers questions answered. Okay, any other questions, commissioners? No? All right, I get my light on here. All right. I move that ANC 2G not support the special exception relief requested by the District of Columbia Department of General Services for 501 New York Avenue Northwest, the proposed temporary location for the central cell block. The special exception relief needed to construct the central cell block will affect adversely the use of neighboring properties in accordance with the zoning regulations and zoning maps. The significant increase in cells and detainees on site will bring with it increased traffic, noise, and security concerns. The proposed temporary location of the central cell block to 501 New York Avenue Northwest will directly, significantly, and negatively impact the residents, business owners, and community organizations in the surrounding vicinity. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner McCarty seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So motion passes 6-0-0. We have no support for that. And we will see everyone at the hearing. And so what happens now is I will communicate that to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and they'll receive that communication in plenty of time. And there we go. And guess what? This is all going to repeat across the street at 6E. So I'm going to be zoomed in. I can't remember the name of, I can't remember the date, but I'll let everyone know. So they're going to appear before them, and I bet you they might motion the same way, maybe. So, and remember that yes.
Sorry, point about clarity. So given the fact that you did not decide to wait until your next meeting to vote, but rather you voted, please let us know if you do want us to come back, or if you guys are already have your position made. And, obviously we'll continue to follow up.
Well, as you are familiar with, Meredith, we had to have it at this meeting today due to the timing. We are a party to the case, and we have to have it in time, as you are aware, Meredith. Am I correct?
And ANCs always get waivers for late filings, and the Board of Zoning Adjustment always accepts those if there's typically a hearing in advance. But
well, we like to play by the rules. So I see you smiling. Okay. All right. So, okay, everyone. So more information to come, and you can certainly zoom into the 6E meeting, but I would like to thank the Department of General Services and the Department of Corrections and Meredith, who I've known previously in the past. So I thank everyone for their information and for their time tonight. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. That was fun for me. More emails to come, everyone. All right. Okay, let's move on. We're going to get this done here. Commissioner McCarty. Where are we going here?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about your resolution first. So you have your draft resolution. You want to show it on the screen? And so this is Commissioner McCarty, who, and we have talked a lot about the medical cannabis licensing, and we had actually a concern from last month about community opposition and all that. So currently it's only the ANC that can oppose, but this resolution brings to light that concern. Go ahead, Commissioner McCarty.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Nigro. So you teed it up pretty well. I can keep this short and simple, but as most folks know who attend ANC meetings, ANC's advisory neighborhood commissions are responsible for bringing forward both alcoholic beverage licenses and now medical cannabis licenses. So we are usually the first and last line of defense when it comes to helping manage these license applications and renewals. The DC government has recently passed legislation to give a pathway to medical cannabis licensing and wind down I-71 compliant or gifting shops. However, in that process, they pulled a fast one on all of us. And as most folks know who are engaged in ANC meetings, for alcoholic beverage license applications and renewals, not only is the ANC permitted to serve as a protest store before ABCA, the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration, so are community groups of 5 registered community organizations. And that is only right now for alcoholic beverage licenses. And so essentially during this process, I don't believe it was a mistake that ABCA decided to effectively remove all other protest rights in the medical cannabis licensing. So unlike alcoholic beverage licensing, where communities can have more say and a much broader stake in the approval or reapproval of licenses, right now only the ANC is allowed to serve as a protester for medical cannabis licensing. So this resolution, which I have before you, essentially extends the eligibility to include property owners and groups of residents and community associations to bring that into alignment with the same process for alcoholic beverage licenses. I'll read this really quickly, but whereas the Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2G, ANC 2G recognizes the need for consistent and transparent protest process for all types of licenses regulated by the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration, and whereas the current protest process for medical cannabis licenses is less comprehensive and transparent compared to the process for alcoholic beverage licenses, and whereas ensuring a uniform protest process will enhance community trust and participation in regulatory matters, therefore, be it resolved that ANC 2G urges ABCA to implement the following modifications to the medical cannabis license protest process to bring it in line with the alcoholic beverage license protest process. 1, eligibility expansion, extend the eligibility to file protests to include property owners, groups of residents, community associations, and government entities within a specified distance, similar to the alcoholic beverage license protest process. Detailed protest process. Clearly outline the protest process on the ABCA website, including the steps for submitting your protest letter, participating in hearings, and engaging in mediation. And then last but not least, transparency measures provide detailed timelines and expectations for each step of the protest process, ensuring that all stakeholders are well informed and can effectively participate. Be it finally resolved that ANC 2G shall forward this resolution to the Director of ABCA, the DC Council Committee on Business and Economic Development, Councilmember Rick Pinto, and the Executive Office of the Mayor to ensure these modifications are implemented promptly.
All right. Any, I think I just would like to comment. Commissioner McCarty and I were talking about, I read over it and I think it's good, but for it to be effective would be to get the other commissions on board with this, because this is clearly not just a 2G thing. And we all, commissioners all get these emails, every commissioner. This is actually an important one that actually would make sense for those all commissioner emails.
I agree.
Yep. Any other comments? Commissioners? Oh, Alex, I'm sorry, Alex. Good.
Yes, I agree that it's also ripe for a commissioner's sign-on letter to try to get as many other commissioners around the city to sign on to it, and also hopefully to get those other commissions to pass, if not parallel, similar language to go to their council. But just in the last paragraph, in the last sentence, to ensure these modifications are implemented promptly, we have no ability to demand that the mayor and these agencies do so. So I would just suggest that we adjust that phrasing, to something along the lines of assure the quickest possible implementation of these measures. Something along those lines. I'm happy with Commissioner McCarty adjusting that as necessary. It's just the language is such that it makes it sound like we have the ability to force something to happen that we can't.
Thank you, Commissioner Padro. If it's okay with the rest of the commissioners, I think it might be easiest to actually just stop at the Executive Office of the Mayor, so it's just clear who we're going to transmit this to. If that's good with everybody, I'll just take that as a friendly amendment, and we will make that small modification before Chair Nigro transmits the letter.
Okay. Any comments? Are we all, any other commissioner comments? No? Okay. Anyone from the other side, raise your virtual hand, or oops, someone got home. Wait. Oops, I'm sorry. Wait. Nicole. Boop. There you go, Nicole. Nicole, go ahead and unmute yourself. Nicole. There you go.
Okay, beautiful. So this is a question that maybe should be answered later, but I'm trying to understand the difference between the medical cannabis license and those like quasi-legal weed gift shop ones, but I don't think that applies here, and I know it's really late, but it's just something I'd love clarity on at some point. Not tonight, probably, though.
Yeah, so Nicole, Commissioner Nigro, her thing is the jail. My thing is ABCA, transparency and accountability. So I will do the same thing as Commissioner Nigro, and you can find me online on our website, shoot me an email, and happy to discuss some of these processes with you.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll say, could you like to make the motion, Commissioner McCarty?
Oh, I move that ANC 2G submit this resolution restoring community rights and medical cannabis licensing to the Director of ABCA, DC Council on Business and Economic Development, Councilmember Brooke Pinto, and the Executive Office of the Mayor.
Seconded.
Okay, Alex second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 600. Thank you.
So
And then
Commissioner McCarty, are you going to draft a letter or draw something for the other ANC in DC?
Yes.
For them
Yes.
to do a sign on? Yeah. Okay.
I do plan to do that. I'm at a conference this week, so it's been kind of hectic for me,
Yeah.
but I will get that out hopefully shortly.
Thank you.
okay. All right, and then it's Commissioner McCarty again, and we're talking about his latest medical cannabis shop. And you know who it's Dan, Mr. Sims. There he is. It's like, did he hang on? Mr. Sims. And who was the other person, Mr. Sims?
Patrick should be here with me.
Oh, there's Patrick. Okay, yep. Okay, great. Welcome. Go ahead, Commissioner McCarty and Alex.
Hello. Okay,
Yep.
I'm back.
I don't know who wants to start, but Commissioner McCarty, go ahead.
While they're pulling it up, I will say that the applicants did attend the ABCL committee meeting last week. We did have a substantive discussion with community members and participants at that meeting last week. For those of you who don't have this in front of you, this is a proposed medical cannabis retailer license in Blagden Alley. And so we have been doing our community engagement, and at this time, I will truthfully say that the community is wholeheartedly opposed to this. I've received over 30 emails, all in alignment. And so the community is very concerned about this. I'm going to let the applicants talk more about their application and directly address some of those concerns, because I know they have heard a lot of them as well. And Commissioner Padra, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to say from the committee.
Just no, for the record, this is a new medical cannabis retailer application by XXX Distributions, trade name Positronics, at 1209 10th Street Northwest, rear. Hours of operation proposed for the retailer are Sunday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hours of retailer sales open to the public are Sunday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And there are no additional endorsements. And at Commissioner McCarty's recommendation, the commission took no action on the application.
Daniel, Patrick.
Hello. Yep, we're still here.
Is there anything you'd like to share about your application, about any of the concerns you've heard, or anything you'd like to share with the commission and community about your
Well,
license?
commissioners, this is Patrick. Hello, everyone. What are exactly the concerns? Or is it the hours? Is it the settlement agreement? Because Commissioner McCarty, did you get the revised settlement agreement I sent you?
Yes, and
Okay.
I responded to that.
Oh, you did?
So
I didn't see it. I was traveling this afternoon. I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
that's okay. I've been traveling too. I would say that, well, one, so Patrick and Daniel have incorporated a few components into the settlement agreement to bring it closer into line with the existing settlement agreements we have for the two other medical cannabis retailers in ANC 2G04. The primary concerns that I have been hearing are traffic and infrastructure. So as most folks also know on this call, we're usually having a lot of issues in Blagden Alley with deliveries, trucks, rideshare drivers, you name it. It is an alley dwelling community, a historic alley dwelling community, and it simply was not built to sustain the level of traffic we are pouring through it on any given day or time. So the traffic and infrastructure is a huge concern. Security is also a concern, and so it's not a service alley, it's not a wide alley, and so folks have raised concerns that this is in the internal part of the alley, right? So that brings decreased visibility and enhanced security concerns. So I've heard quite a bit of that. Noise, traffic, pollution of just loitering and making sure trash and the public area is maintained. But really kind of at the end of the day, it's oversaturation. There are two licensed medical retailers in the area. There are also within I believe 6-block radius, there are six medical cannabis retailers. And so the fact is really the concern is when is enough as well. And I know I mentioned this last week, but ABCA is not doing its job in actually enforcing their legislation. And so folks are genuinely concerned that, we can't trust ABCA to bring I-71 shops into this medical program or to shut them down when they are operating illegally. So how are we going to continue to welcome more and more of these cannabis retailers? And I will just say, our ANC district is 3 square blocks. We've got one on the southernmost block, a medical cannabis retailer. We've got a medical cannabis retailer on the block north. 3 and 3 blocks is, that's something. That's quite something.
Stephen, if that's all right, if I can call you Stephen in this situation, or Commissioner, these are still applications, including ourselves. It's a 30-foot alley, which in the location is I'm the landlord of. If I could put a little personal input on it, I have 2 young sons that play street hockey and baseball right there all the time. I care about the community. I've been in the community for 50 years. I will not allow, if you don't mind my French, a shit show to go on. There'll be no loud music. We have parking. We encourage walk-in, metro, bicycle. We'll provide parking for our employees. Trash can be contracted out. My office is right around the corner. I care about the area. I care about the community. I think of the places that have been approved, we would be the best if approved. The most congenial to the area. I live 50 yards away, and my office is 30 yards away. I've run businesses in the area. I provide housing. I provided car rentals. I provided parking for the last 30 years. And actually, between my father and I, the last 50 years. I care about the community. I think this would be a good fit in Blagden Alley, which Blagden Alley is zoned, and in the late 80s was rezoned or reclassified for commercial business. In that time frame, we took out all the car repair shops that were there. That was not going to be allowed. And we wanted retail. We wanted business. That goes back to the 80s and the early 90s. So if there's any issues, if there's something you want in the settlement agreement, tell me. Talk to me. I'm easy. Just talk to me. Dan, yeah, got anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered it pretty well. We won't, as far as other shops, we're 300-400 feet away from any other shop.
We follow the DC law.
Following the DC law, and Patrick summed it up pretty well. That's been his home for 50 years. Nobody is more concerned about keeping Blagden Alley nice than Patrick and his family. And me too, as his partner. That's his home. He has deep ties to that community. And that's why I think it'd be a good fit too. His home and his office is right there.
There's not going to be any loud music. There's not going to be any flashing lights. It's not going to be one of those places. It'll be something that fits in and works well with all the other businesses in the alley.
Yeah, it won't be like these pop-up shops you see with the neon lights or people hanging out front or anything like that. And as far as the other 6 shops in your jurisdiction, we're betting our whole business model that ABCA is going to close those down. If ABCA doesn't, then we're going to go out of business because
it doesn't work. It won't work.
We have to pay taxes. We have to make sure all of our customers have a medical license. We can't compete with these I-71 shops. And if ABCA doesn't close them down, we won't last at all.
And if council, if you would like me to go into the dynamics of supply and demand of what was used last year and talk about the issues that ABCA has and some of the dysfunctions, I'll be happy to go into that. But I don't want to bore anybody, and I don't want to keep anybody online any longer than what they'd like to this evening.
No doubt. And as far as closing the other shops, recently DC outlawed menthol cigarettes in the city. I think that happened like a year ago or something like that. Look around today, you can't buy a menthol cigarette anywhere in the city. If DC can do that, they can certainly shut down these I-71 shops. And if we're paying taxes and they aren't, I have confidence in them shutting down the I-71 shops.
It's not going to be easy. It won't be easy. I admit that.
It's not going to happen tomorrow.
This will not be an I-71 store.
Thank you, Daniel and
He will be
Patrick.
a legitimate medical patient.
Understood. And while I think both of you, I agree. I know, Patrick, you're very invested in the community. I've got to follow the community's input right now, and the community's not in support. And I know you have done quite a bit of work on the settlement agreement and worked on getting more pieces included in that. And so I do thank you very much. I'm going to encourage you, we can still figure out if a settlement agreement is the right case between now and a protest hearing. But that is going to require a lot more work between Patrick and Daniel with the community, especially to make sure that they feel that that settlement agreement is the best option. I know everything you've included came directly from the community input, and so they will see that you're working towards trying to address their issues. I understand that, and I know they will understand that. But right now, they simply don't want it at all. And so
I get it. And you always have to cover your six. I get that. Commissioner McCarty, how many constituents are in your ANC?
About 2,000.
And so you've had 30 say that negative things?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. I know what my next step will be, and it's a cool thing. I'll talk it up, and I'll present you with something. I have no problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and so with that, I'd like to make a motion, and I move that ANC 2G protest this medical cannabis retailer license for XXX distributors doing business as Positronics, pending any approval of a settlement agreement that has the full support of this commission and the community.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Watkins, seconds. Any other comments?
Friendly amendment, Commissioner?
Yes.
Any protest letter has to include the grounds for the protest, so you need to cite peace, order, and quiet at minimum.
Okay.
You can also include adverse effect on real estate and property values, parking, and here you might want to also include overconcentration. That is one of the claims that you hope to present to the board.
Thank you, Commissioner Padro. So let me rephrase my motion. So I move that ANC 2G formally file a protest for this medical cannabis license for XXX distributors doing business as Positronics based on the grounds of peace and order, overconcentration of the medical cannabis retailer market, peace and order, and public safety. Pending any
over concentration will go.
Patrick, I'm sorry, I'm making a motion.
I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
Thank you. Pending and parking and traffic, pending any proposed settlement agreement being in full support of the commission and the community.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second again.
Okay, Ms. Watkins seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Commissioner Berry has left already, so it's 5-0-0. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you.
Good day.
All right. Wow, okay. What a meeting. Okay, everyone. So let's talk briefly about the committees, okay? Because there were some concerns last month about Alex's committee and transparency. And I during the past several weeks, I went back and forth with community members, and Tony is well aware, and the Office of ANC is involved. So I think the bullet point is with our committees. First, we have to get more people involved. And and certainly Alex is aware, and Tony, that this is a hard thing, right? But that said, we have to do our best, and we have to be more transparent in terms of, and I'm also glad to upload videos, notes, anything like that. has to be put, and Commissioner McCarty is working on a new webpage, so more information to come with that, right, Commissioner McCarty, right? So that'll be on our webpage, just more information and just to be more transparent, and also about notification for the community, for the committee itself. All right, so that people are aware, and that is done in a timely manner. But we are now I've been in a back and forth with the Office of Neighborhood Commissions now for how many weeks, Tony? So it's like during my vacation and up till today. So I would like to, say to the community, we're going to do better. All commissioners, but as we know in the past, it's hard to get people to join committees. And also for Alex, there's what's his name? Who wants to join your committee?
Just
Tony, help
send
me.
their email address and I'll be happy to add them to the list.
It's hold on. It is.
Just email it later, please.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, because he wanted me to say it. So. Wait, Parker Griffin. Parker Griffin wants to be part of your committee. So please accept Parker Griffin as your new committee person. So any comments about this? Any questions from the commissioners? Can we want to be on the same consensus about getting the information out in a timely manner? Okay. All right. No, moving on. Anything? Oh, any comments from the community? I'm sorry. Any comments from the community? Raise your hand. I have a question. Oh, Nicole. I'm sorry. Here's Nicole. Go ahead, Nicole.
Nicole.
I think she had this. Nicole, do you want to comment about this? Maybe not. Nicole, you have to unmute yourself.
She asked which committees, and I'm going to grab a link, which might answer your questions.
Yeah, and you don't have to answer it on the call either. I just would like to know what the committees are and who's on what.
So I am zoning / historic lead. And I want to make a bullet point about that. I feel very strongly it should be led not by commissioners, but here's where it is because we don't have constituents. So please, if someone's to the party of 13 that are left or 7, it's really not supposed to be led. It's supposed to be led by constituents. So I'm zoning historic. Alex.
Sheena is transportation and public safety.
Alex.
Alcoholic beverage and cannabis licensing.
That's what we got. Feel free to join.
I will. I'll try to drum it up.
We also have a public safety committee, but I don't know if they're meeting.
Yeah, they're not really having meetings, so we gotta.
If you want a non-commissioner leader for that, I'd be willing to talk to someone about that.
All right. Yay! Look, something great.
Also, are the meetings always this long?
No, it's because of the jail, Nicole.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Which is clearly very important. So the commissioners knew it was going to be a long one because of the jail. So
you guys are saints.
Well, that was a heavy lift, and it continues on. Okay, so anything else, commissioners? No. Okay. All right. So then we have. Huh? No. Okay. Go ahead, Tony.
One quick thing. I don't know if we need to look at the bylaws. You remember that 48-hour thing? I don't know if that needs to be corrected or we just stick with that.
I think as with Commissioner McCarty redoing the web page, we kind of need to look at everything. I think it's best at this point, and certainly we'll be receiving feedback from all the commissioners because, again, it's our goal to be transparent and we want community input. And I take the bullet for whatever I try my best, but sometimes it's hard. So
thank you.
Okay. Right, Tony. Okay. So we have to approve the minutes before we can do the expenses. So before I forget, we got in trouble with Karen last time. So any questions about the minutes at all from May and or June? No. Okay. I move that it.
Oh, I was gonna make a motion, but
go ahead. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Move that ANC 2G approve the minutes of the meetings of May 9th, 2024 and June 13th, 2024 with any corrections submitted to the reports.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
McCarty seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes 5-0-0. Okay, Tony.
Okay, let me just go over the treasurer's report for July. FDC Bank, statement closing on June 30th. Our balance was $7,146.29. We had no monies coming in for the legal assistance or anything. We had one check that cleared, which was the last check we wrote for, TMAC, $1,008.00. So, our no other expenses or anything. So we're down to $6,138.29. We have turned in all of the supporting documentation for the checks that have been written thus far. There might be one small tweak in the register and everything was up to date. Okay, so that takes care of that. We do have 4 expenses. 2 which were from Michelle attending the MPD 3D CAC meeting. This was back in March. It was my oversight. But I'd like to make a motion to pay these 2 expenses. I make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Michelle Nigro in the amount of $13.90 for an Uber ride from her residence to the CAC meeting on March 28th.
Seconded.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay.
Ms. Watkins? Ms. Watkins?
I'm back. Hey, is that, was you making a motion about the treasurer's report?
About money for me.
Oh, yeah.
Money for Michelle. $13.96 for an Uber ride. Yay, nay?
Yay,
Huh?
Yay.
yay, yay, yay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That takes care of that one. The second one, the return trip home, I did it in reverse. That was a return trip home. I'd like to make a motion that ANC 2G reimburse Rochelle Nigro in the amount of $9.90 for the meeting going to the 3D CAC meeting on March 28, 2024.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor? I'm abstaining. Abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Ms.
Okay.
Watkins?
Yay.
Okay.
Okay, great.
2. All right, and then we have 2 invoices from Karen Yaley. There's somebody echoing here. Okay, on for the June payment, I make a I move that ANC 2G approve the payment of $275 to Karen Yaley for site maintenance and meeting notes for June 2024.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Alex, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0-0.
Okay, and the last one is I move that ANC 2G approve the payment to Karen Yaley in the amount of $275 for website maintenance and meeting notes for the July 24 meeting.
Seconded.
Alex seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye. Motion
Okay.
passes 5-0-0.
Yep. So
Okay.
we'll be all caught up. No outstanding checks.
Great. And you all set, Tony?
We're done.
Okay, so we're gonna talk for people who are left on the call. You're probably wondering how we pay for our lawyer. We talk about this almost every month and we get the funds from a special grant. For expert assistance grant. So what's gonna happen for this go round, we are done with the first hearing. We are paid up. What I'm gonna be seeking for this from the special fund again is the Expert Assistance Fund is for their $1,500 retainer, and we've already received our first bill. That's just big due to that. Let me tell you, we got this first bill, and you can blame the Office of Tax and Revenue because of that. It's insane because they had to fix that. It's wacky. So the first bill that we received, wait, Tony, where'd it go? Okay, is $1,824. So I will be seeking, I'll be doing the online form for both $1,500 or going towards that. So as we all know this routine now, that's what I'm going to state publicly. And then they will, Tony, help me what? So they are going to pay us and we pay then them. So, right? Tony, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, that's correct. They will
this
send
is-
money. And
They're
we
gonna
pay.
send us some and we pay them. So the lawyers that we use are aware of this big delay. So, and it's a very long delay, but they have accepted it, and I think clearly it's worked out. So, all right, so I move that ANC 2G seek support from the Expert Assistance Fund for $1,500 for the retainer for, help me, Tony.
And $1,824 for the first payment of the new cycle.
And then from, I always get their name wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donahoe, Themac, Miller, PLC.
Donahoe, Themac, and Miller, LLC. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner McCarty seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Motion passes 500. Now, just real brief, you heard me mention that today that that compromise letter from Delano Hunter and Councilmember Pippo potentially is frankly incorrect and is not legally binding. So we received guidance from the Office of ANC already. I'm going to investigate how much, and I think we're okay with their guidance, but if I'm not sure if they would put something actually in writing, for an actual statement. And I'm going to talk to Kent about if we can use money towards that with that fund for that. Because honestly, I don't know what type of money we're talking for. Basically, someone to look at that letter who is familiar with this type of situation, right? Clearly, it's not our lawyer for zoning. What does that look like? So I have no idea how much that would even cost, but I'm going to ask Kent about it. So that's it. There's your update. That's it. All right. Anything else?
So Rochelle, on that issue, one thing that it would appear is that the process for the release of the detainees is that once they leave, if they're actually going to be at 501 New York, once they're taken down to court, they're going to be released from court. So they don't actually even come back to the 501.
Well, they might not go to court though. That's the whole problem.
But it still should be in writing. But I'm just saying, it's like if the flow is that they're taken down to court, that they would not be.
But if they're not paper, they're not going to go to court.
Yeah, no, I said you should get it in writing.
Yeah. It's crazy in the first place that we're even talking about. All right. Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. I move that ANC 2G adjourn this meeting, and our next meeting will be Thursday, September 12th.
Seconded.
Alex seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
No meeting next month. Yay. Okay, everyone who's still on the call, we say thank you for hanging in and thank you for your support, and have a wonderful rest of summer, and we will see you in September.
Enjoy.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye everyone. Take care. Bye.